Chapter 121. The examiner from the C-class exams is right in front of me. The slim, black-bearded man is sitting on a small couch striking a business deal with Bree. My face goes pale and droplets of sweat start to form on my forehead as my eyes scan the room. I swallow hard as the tension only gets worse. Rodrigo stares at me, not moving a muscle. He seems to be on guard as well. This isn't exactly the reaction I expected. Bree slowly walks in between the two of us, smiling and waving her hips back and forth as she struts forward. She looks me in the eyes and speaks in a soft yet powerful tone. "Jay, it's a pleasure to see you again so soon." She glances over at Rodrigo. "It seems the two of you already know each other. How interesting." Bree chuckles as Rodrigo finally speaks. "Jay, what are you doing here? And how exactly do you know my sister?" I grin. This confirms what I heard earlier was true. They are siblings. "Well, I came here to get some loot checked out and have a weapon crafted. She's the best in town. Wouldn't you agree?" He stares at me with a cold look in his eyes, answering through a clenched jaw. "She is." My smirk grows as I start to feel a bit more relaxed. Sure, an A-class from the association that's actively trying to recruit me as a test subject is standing right in front of me. But there are some pros to this situation too. Does the association know about your illegal item smuggling? Or the fact that you're siblings with a black market loot dealer? Rodrigo looks over to Bree, then back to me. No, they do not." He begins glowing white while standing up slowly. The look on his face turns from mildly irritated to infuriated rather quickly. I grit my teeth and start glowing gold and red while reaching for my sword. Stop. You too." Bree steps between both of us, lifting her hands in the air, glowing the same white color as Rodrigo. Out of curiosity, while powering down my skills, I use Inspect and Appraisal on both of them. I audibly gulp when I see the results. LV 488. Active items. Ring of Eternal Protection plus 150% defense. Amulet of the Queen plus 130% mental strength. Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats. Active skills. Crafting, Legendary grade. Combat magic. Advanced light summoning. LV 1391. Active items. Ring of Eternal Protection plus 150% defense. Ring of the Dragon King plus 210% mental strength. Amulet of the King plus 140% mental strength. Ring of Divine Speed plus 110% speed plus 110% agility. Archdemon's Core plus 150% all stats. Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats. Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats. Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats. Active skills. Respawn. Advanced rebirth. Combat magic. Advanced light summoning. My eyes open wide as I take in all the numbers in front of me. Bree stares at Rodrigo as he powers down his skill, and the three of us stand in silence for a moment. Brianna finally speaks up. "Brother, this is one of my new favorite clients. Please don't hurt him if you can restrain yourself." "Jay, the same goes for you. Lay a finger on my family and you're dead." She smiles as these harsh words delicately flow from her mouth. Rodrigo and I lock eyes for a moment, then turn back to the powerful woman towering over us and nod. I let out a sigh while Bree's brother slouches back onto the couch, letting out a few muffled words. "So now what?" I reply. "Well, first of all, what was all that earlier about me being a lab rat for the association? I think it's time we renegotiate the terms of this mandatory contract." He exhales from his nose. "Nope, you're screwed, kid. They asked me to pick out any unusual hunters, and I've already submitted your name at the top slot. They won't take no for an answer. Trust me, I've been working with them for almost a decade now." I gulp. "What do you mean they won't take no for an answer? What did you tell them?" He sighs. "Not too much. Just that you're a multi-skill user that specializes in close-range fire magic combat. They'll do an extensive test during our meeting, so they'll pick out all your fine details with a full appraisal soon enough. I turn to Bree, then to Rodrigo, then back to Bree. So I can just go rogue, right? Like you? Live off the grid? I'd rather have my freedom on the run than be locked into a slave contract with the association. Rodrigo looks at me with an annoyed glare. I reply in a soft tone. No offense. Bree chimes in. If they know your name and have your ID, they'll find you eventually. Trust me, we tried everything. She looks at Rodrigo for an uncomfortably long time with a sad look in her eyes. I grit my teeth and look at the red-suited man before me. This is your fault to begin with. What if I just tell them everything? Huh? Stealing Labyrinth resources to sell on the black market? If I'm going down, I'll just bring you with me. I dash. Bree cuts me off. None of that, none of that. Although I like you, Jay, if you endanger my family or my business, I will make sure you disappear. I swallow hard, thinking of all the possible ways the last 3 days of my life could have gone so much differently. The two of them could kill me in an instant. Their stats and gear are off the charts. I definitely crossed the line with that last statement. It's time to cool things down a bit. What if you just tell them it was a mistake? Say, I'm not as valuable as you first thought. He shakes his head. The meeting is already scheduled. You're going to get tested no matter what. The only thing that could push that meeting off would be your death. And considering the way you're talking right now, I don't think it'd be such a bad idea to get rid of you right here and now. My eyes open wide as he begins to glow with a white light. Bree sighs, showing a sorry kid. I tried, but you ran your mouth. Look on her face. The A-class charges up his attack while my brain rapidly searches for a way out of this mess. Wait. You need a firestone, right? Right? You need a firestone. I have one. Bree's eyes perk up and she darts in between Rodrigo and me once again. The white light emanating from his body dies down and the room falls awkwardly silent. Bree nods to me. Continue. Well, that's why I came up here. I wanted to have you craft another weapon for me, but it seems like you have another important client that may need it more right now. Brianna grins. This is why I like you, Jay. Always full of surprises. I smile weakly but don't reply. She continues. Let's all talk about this more formally. It's time to strike a deal. Don't you think? Rodrigo rolls his eyes as I reply. I think that's a good idea. First things first, if we can make a trade for this stone, you won't just kill me afterward, right? Bree frowns and turns to her brother. You have my word. Hear that? Today he is my client. You may not kill him. With arms crossed, the A-class mumbles back. Fine. One more word about snitching and he's toast. I'm not letting that slide again. He gets to his feet and starts walking to the door. My day just keeps getting worse. I'm going for some fresh air. See you later, big sis, and Jay, I guess I'll see you again soon too. Ugh. I can't be asked to stay here any longer. With loud, annoyed footsteps, Rodrigo disappears down the spiral staircase moments later. Bree lets out a chuckle. I haven't seen him this riled up in a while. Please don't mind him too much. Roddy is a good guy. He's just a bit stressed out from the exams. The association promised him the labyrinth's loot in exchange for collapsing it, but it seems like someone got to it first. She eyes my left arm, then looks me in the eyes. Bree takes a small clear tray out from under her desk and places it on a coffee table near the couch. Show me what you've got. I nod and reach into my item storage without another word. I carefully pull out the flickering firestone and place it in the containment tray. Next, the meter-long demon's horn hits the small wooden table with a thud. Bree grins ear to ear. Now look at this. You definitely were the one who ruined my brother's weekend, weren't you? I gulp, waiting for her to continue as she feels the surface of the smooth horn with both hands. What are you trying to have made here? It's a bit short for a long sword, but fairly long for a dagger. Maybe I could make a set out of it, but dash. A set, that would be perfect. A set of daggers. You're a dagger user all of a sudden? I nod, thinking about her earlier conversations with Rodrigo as I climbed the stairs. You have 2 windstones, right? Make me a dagger set with this horn and those 2 stones. In exchange, the firestone is all yours. She grins while going through a few drawers in her desk to pull out a containment tray and an empty glass bottle. My eyes open wide as I realize what's coming next. Give me your wrist. I need 16 ounces of blood in total to bond the stones to both knives. I flinch and look away as I reach out my left arm. Without hesitation, she rips into an artery and blood gushes out into the large glass bottle in her hand. I clench my jaw and whisper under my breath. There has to be an easier way to do this. She smiles as the glass fills to the brim. I pull my arm away and use self-regeneration on my wound, mumbling to myself. Bree flashes me the containment case. Inside, there are 2 palm-sized stones that look as clear as quartz. They both have small white streaks in them and let out a low hum. You know, even with a blood bond, these wind stones may be difficult to control without a wind summoning skill. I'm sure you'll figure out how to use them eventually. It just may take some time. Yes, I'll manage. Bree takes all of the items on the wooden table and brings them over to her desk. She places the firestone in a bottom drawer and opens the windstone's containment case while continuing to examine the large horn. You can stay and watch if you'd like. This may take a while. I nod, then make my way over to the couch. Bree's hands start to glow light yellow while she carefully picks up one of the windstones. She smirks and looks at me. While I'm at it, perhaps I should share a few details about that new demon's core you're nonchalantly showing off. It might be a good idea to conceal it. I can see you've changed a lot, Jay, but you still have a lot to learn. Name Jay Soju. Level 352. HP 1765/1765.
MEP 1525-1765.
Strength 861 plus 809 plus 431. Speed 1017 plus 610 plus 305 plus 509. Agility 1115 plus 502 plus 558. Defense 762 plus 305 plus 267 plus 381. Mental strength 861 plus 517 plus 344 plus 387 plus 491 plus 431. Skills: absorption, special grade, swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, telepathy, legendary grade, items equipped, High Ogre King's ring, plus 60% mental strength, Cyclops Eye pendant, plus 40% defense, Dark Elf boots, plus 60% speed, Ring of Protection, plus 35% defense, Griffin's Talon, plus 40% mental strength, Enchanted Silver Ring, plus 30% speed, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% mental strength, the Flame Emperor's Sword, Fire Aspect, plus 94% strength, plus 57% mental strength, Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats. Chapter 122. Bree throws me a handheld mirror from under her desk and I catch it clumsily. Hey, what do you mean I'm showing off my demon's core? How do you even know in the first place? Is it this line? The black line on my arm? You don't have dash. I stop speaking as I bring the square-shaped mirror up to my face. After a few quick blinks, swallowing hard, and turning my head side to side, my mouth opens again to squeeze out a few words. My eyes, there. Bree finishes my sentence for me. They're almost white. Not as bad as my brother's, but to anyone that knows about the cores, it's clear as day you absorbed one. She eyes me with a devious grin while I keep staring at myself in the mirror. My brother has quite a few. No one will mess with an A-class, so he can do what he wants with them. You, on the other hand, you're a nobody. I'm sure it'd be best to cover up before going to that meeting today. Better yet, cover up before Rodrigo gets back. I think he was too mad to notice earlier. After he cools off, he'll be much more perceptive. She giggles to herself again while looking back down at the demon's horn and 2 element stones on her desk. I reply, still staring at my light-colored eyes in the mirror. Well, tell me then, how can I get rid of these eyes? Get rid of them?
Impossible.
I can tell you how to hide them, but it'll cost you. I sigh, rolling my newly discovered light hazel eyes. How much? 2 gold pieces. I have a magic item that'll do just the trick. I click my tongue against the roof of my mouth as I reach into my item storage to grab 2 shiny gold coins. With a light toss, the round pieces of metal hit Bree's desk with a clink. She grabs them both before they roll too far. Perfect. Reaching into her seemingly endless drawers, the craftswoman takes out a small black rectangular case. She throws it at me. I catch the small rectangular box and look inside while activating appraisal. Lenses of illusion. I scrunch my eyebrows, then activate my all-seeing eye for a moment to get some extra info. Lenses of illusion. Info. A pair of contact lenses crafted using the legendary grade crafting skill and the special grade conceal skill. This item allows the user to see 25% further and change their perceived eye color at will. Class, C+. Type, single use. Durability, 100/100. I deactivate my skills and look at the pair of clear lenses with disappointment. These are literally just colored contact lenses. I paid 2 gold coins for a pair of contact lenses. Bree laughs. Lenses like those are hard to come by, try them on. You may think differently about them after you see what they can do. With a sigh, I awkwardly place them both into my eyes. Blind and tearing up for a few seconds, they finally slip into place. The sensation of a brand new skill fills my subconscious. I grab the mirror and bring it back up to my face. While thinking of my old dark brown eye color, the light white shades begin to vanish completely on their own. My eyes shift back to normal. There's no sign of the demon's core at all. I grin, then start picturing every color imaginable. Red, green, yellow, blue, purple, all of them. With a laugh, I change them back to my original dark brown again. I guess. They do work. Bree nods. Those will last a few months at most, so come back when you need more. Regarding your new arm tattoo, I don't have an item in stock for that. You'll just have to wear a long sleeve shirt for a while. I'll need someone with a special grade or higher concealment skill to make any more body modification items. I raise an eyebrow, thinking to myself, special grade concealment? Like my conceal skill? Hey, how long do you think making my blades will actually take? Bree looks down at the items on her desk, then up at me. Why? Do you need some fresh air? I nod as she continues. Give me an hour. I'll have them ready when you come back. Buy something to cover up that arm while you're gone. I stand to my feet. Thanks. I'll be back soon. See you, Jay. Demon cores aren't something humans should have in the first place. It may give you some extra strength now, but everything comes with a price. Bree takes a deep breath, then lets out a sigh. Just be careful and cover up. I want the best for all my long-term future clients. I'm already halfway across the room, making my way over to the stairs and waving goodbye. Yeah. Appreciate you, Bree. I'll be back in an hour. Without another thought, I walk down 2 flights of stairs and out the front door. Ever since the mention of a special grade concealment skill was brought up, my mind has been racing. While activating my all-seeing eye, I open my status and click into my conceal skill. Conceal. Info. A basic concealment skill. Data on a user's status can be altered. Levels, stats, skills, and buffs may be added or taken away from the user's false status screen. Those with a special grade or higher perception skills may be able to see through the facade. Grade. No grade. Upgrade. I click upgrade to appease my curiosity.
Upgrade. 50 pp.
No grade dash. Special grade. The special grade conceal skill allows the user to edit their status with the same basic inputs as no grade. Without a legendary grade perception skill, the true nature of these modifications will remain unseen. The special grade conceal skill acts as temporary camouflage. The user may change fine details in facial features, skin shade, and eye color, along with minor height and weight modifications. Without a legendary grade perception skill, the illusion magic being used will go unnoticed by onlookers. Reading the upgrade details makes the corners of my mouth curl upwards. I upgrade it on the spot, bringing my total proficiency points remaining down to 52. Technically, I could upgrade another skill right now, but I've been on a spending spree lately. This is the last one for a while. A legendary skill upgrade would be very useful. I'll have to save up a lot more PP to make that happen. I look down at my left arm. The black line is about 3 centimeters thick and travels the whole distance from my wrist to my shoulder. I concentrate and activate my new upgraded skill. Conceal. In my mind's eye, I picture the line disappearing. Reality begins to mimic my mental image. The dark black tattoo vanishes from my skin. With a smirk, I open up my status. After a full minute of concealment, my MP drops 50 points. Not bad, but not great. At this rate of mana consumption, I can easily keep this disguise up for well over half an hour. It's perfect for short meetings, but I'll need to re-up on MP without being noticed. I tighten my lips, then head off to the market by the train station to grab a new long-sleeve shirt like Bree suggested. These lenses conceal my eyes without any MP usage, and a shirt covers up my arms pretty easily. For right now, simple magic items are better than this concealment skill. In the long run, I have a feeling it'll come in handy. For the time being, I conceal my arm while shopping. I spend almost 50 silver on a new stockpile of D-class HP potions along with 1 full gold to buy a pile of mana crystals from a confused vendor. Sure, hunters usually don't buy crystals, but taking my MP plundering skill into account, they're actually a bit more cost-effective than MP potions. I grab a long-sleeve shirt for 20 bronze made of heavy black material and put it on over my tee. This will do. With my shopping done, I take my time on the way back. It's a really nice day out. The fresh air, busy streets, warm sun overhead, and recent stat power-ups make me feel like 1,000,000 gold pieces. I push the looming association meeting to the back of my mind while lazily strolling back to Bree's place with newfound confidence. It's been just over an hour. I walk back up to her office eager to see my new blades. The woman's voice calls out before I even step into the room. Finally, you're back. Check these bad boys out. Bree stands up from her desk carrying a large containment tray with 2 beautiful blades. They're bright red and give off a light white glow. The hand grips are jet black and look just the right size for my palms. Both blades are slightly curved and over 30 centimeters long. They look razor sharp and give off a very loud hum as I walk closer. I use appraisal along with my all-seeing eye. The Wind Tyrant's Dagger Set. Wind Aspect. Plus 60% Strength. Plus 60% Agility. Plus 40% Mental Strength. Info. A dagger set crafted from the horn of a greater demon and 2 cores from wind summoning griffins using the legendary grade crafting skill. Class B+. Type Fusion/Evolution. Durability 100/100. Bree smirks, moving the concealment case closer to me. Go ahead, try them out. With both hands outreached, I grip the vibrating daggers. A cool rush of mana enters the palms of my hands, flowing through my arms, and into my torso through the rest of my body. I let out a satisfying grunt while flexing my core and bracing myself as my new weapon greets me. In a muffled tone, I reply, "Nice to meet you too." Bree chuckles to herself as I struggle to stay on my feet. After a few seconds, the sensation of heavy wind magic entering my body becomes bearable and I relax a bit. Staring down at the red blades glowing white, a stupid grin grows across my face. Bree speaks up. "So, how about we test those out in the Rumble Dome? I got a dash." "No. There's no way I'm going back to that suicide pit." She laughs. Hey, it was just a suggestion." Bree crosses her arms. Amused at my PTSD from the last time, she forced me into the underground fight ring to pay for my sword. "Well, I know you have to go off to that meeting with my brother soon, but let me at least give you the rundown on how these blades are a bit different than your sword." I nod while twirling the new crimson daggers in both hands. They're begging to be used, but I have a feeling it wouldn't be pretty if I release their full power in here. "Sure, give me the rundown." After that, I'm heading off to the association's HQ. Chapter 123. Bree stares down at the crimson daggers in my hands, then brings her gaze up to my eyes. "Your sword is an evolution-type weapon. I'm sure you've noticed its stat growth by now." I nod as she continues. "Well, these blades have an evolution element to them as well. The only difference is they're a fusion-type weapon too." I look at Bree with a blank stare. A fusion-type weapon means what exactly? It depends. The fact that they can evolve means their fusion ability may change in the future too. Try pressing both of your daggers together. I do as she says, bringing the two slightly glowing blades together in front of my chest. The hum from earlier returns, and begins to grow louder the closer the two daggers get to each other. Once less than 5 centimeters apart, I feel a strong resistance in between the weapons. Dense pockets of air begin to flow out of the blades, immediately filling the room with violent gusts of wind. Bree speaks up, grinning ear to ear. "Don't worry about my office. Keep going." I gulp, then continue doing as she says. I focus my mana into the two blades while activating my own wind summoning skill along with my all-seeing eye to track the mana in the room much easier. Clink. The moment I do, the two daggers calm down and the wind comes to a standstill as both blades hit each other with a light metallic ring. My eyes widen as I watch the two blades merge into one. The white light around them becomes much brighter, as a heavy red dagger falls into my open palms. Bree lets out a laugh. "Well, to be honest, I didn't expect you to control it that well on your first try. Now try to separate them." I stare at the single dagger, concentrating on the odd flow of energy inside it. While gripping its handle tight, I force a large amount of mana and wind magic into the blade again, while picturing it split in two in my mind's eye. The blade begins to glow bright white and is followed by a flash of light and a mild gust of wind. The blade comes apart into two shining red daggers again. I nod slowly while twirling the pair around my fingers. "Another fine piece of art you've made, Bree, thanks." She smiles. "The pleasure is all mine. I'm glad we could make a deal today. You know, I'm always here to do business with you." I smirk and give her a firm nod. "Good. I'll probably be back soon. I turn to leave, but a question has been eating away at the back of my mind. I decide to speak up. "Hey, one last thing actually. There are demon cores, right? Have you ever seen or heard of a dungeon core or a labyrinth core? Or, something resembling a large egg-shaped crystal?" Bree looks at me with a confused stare. "A dungeon core?" She thinks for a moment while placing both hands on her hips and staring up at the ceiling. "I can't say I have. Usually, we refer to the demon cores as dungeon cores. If you're thinking of something else, then I'm not exactly Sue Dash." "Okay, got it. Just wondering, that's all." I turn to leave for real this time, Bree is left standing there with a puzzled look on her face but speaks up as I go. Well, I'll do some digging. Maybe I can find something similar to what you're describing next time we meet. Anyways, play nice with my brother today. I'm sure in time you two will get along. I carefully place my new blades into my item storage and raise my right hand to wave as I walk down the spiral staircase to the lowest floor. While doing so, I switch my long sword into my item box. The long walk into the center of town toward the Hunters Association HQ begins. I don't think of much on my way over. There isn't really much to think about after all. I'll be attending this meeting whether I like it or not. Working for the association wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if it was chosen by my own free will. It's just that comment about being their lab rat that Rodrigo brought up earlier. It still bugs me. The sun is high in the sky. It's almost noon. My walk into town seems to go by very quickly. Although it took well over half an hour to get here, I've been daydreaming the whole way. I look straight up at the towering Hunters Association building and let out a sigh. A woman's voice greets me as the sliding glass doors automatically open upon my arrival. Welcome to the Vice Region Hunters HQ. How can I help you today, sir? I'd like to pick up my C-Class license. I passed the exam yesterday. Plus, I have a meeting with Dash. She cuts me off with a bright smile. Oh, so you're Jay. Welcome, welcome. Please, come this way. I'm escorted inside without another word. The lobby is rather crowded today. There are at least 30 hunters with association uniforms on. Beside them, there are close to 20 men in suits. They're all sharing small-talk conversations, seemingly waiting for something. Maybe it's the event Abby was talking about last night? They could be having the rank-up celebration today. That would make sense. The woman at the door leads me through the crowded lobby and over to the front desk where I see Rodrigo in a fresh new red suit. This one has a few black accents on the pockets and collar. The moment he sees me, the A-Class waves. I'll take him from here. Thank you very much, Ms. She bows and turns to leave the moment he opens his mouth. Certainly, he's all yours, sir. With that, she turns to make her way back to the front doors. I open my mouth to speak, but Rodrigo is already walking toward the elevator at the back of the room. Come on. Let's get this over with. I swallow hard and follow without saying a word. The elevator doors open moments later and we both walk inside. The red-suited man clicks the penthouse button at the top of the mana-powered selection menu and we wait for the doors to close. Rodrigo speaks as it clicks closed. You know, I had a similar meeting to this when I was 18. The day the association found out I had a respawn skill, that's the day my contract started. I nod slowly, but still keep my eyes on the floor as the elevator begins to move upwards. He continues, I didn't have much of a choice. I've been working for the association for 11 years now. Recently, things have been pretty different around here. Not in the Vice region specifically, I usually only come back here to check on Bree. But I assumed it's been pretty bad all over. I look up at him. What do you mean things have been different? Plus, why are you telling me all of this? He sighs. All over the country. There's been more surges this year than I've ever seen in my life. They keep occurring with less time in between. Their origins seem to be the Dark Continent, but no one wants to admit it. I nod as he continues. The only reason I'm telling you this is because they're most likely recruiting you to farm resources. Either outside the country or maybe in the city's labyrinth. There's no telling what exactly the higher-ups are thinking sometimes. All I know is they've been scouting unique combat types more and more recently, giving high rewards to any association members that can give them leads. That's why I put your name on the list. And, well, it seems like I may have overreacted earlier. If my sister has grown a liking to you, then you're an ally to me as well. My advice for this meeting is, stand out as little as possible. The less they see you as an asset, the less strict your contract will be. Don't come off as special and you'll be offered the best deal. Trust me. I stare at the floor, taking in his advice as the doors to the elevator open and we arrive at the top floor of the association's tower. The hum of mana shields fills all my senses as I'm almost blinded by the overwhelmingly white walls of the room in front of me. A deep, wise voice rings out as my eyes adjust. I see an old man with long gray hair tied back in a man bun. His hands are clasped together with too many gold rings to count on top of the wooden desk he sits behind. Wrinkles fill the elder's face, but he shows off his pearly whites with a professional smile. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you again, Rodrigo. As we both walk forward, the old man speaks up again. This must be Jay. Nice to meet you. He closes his eyes, smiling with a closed mouth, nodding, and motioning for us to sit in the two comfortable-looking chairs in front of him. The room around us is bare. The white walls connect with the white ceiling above, and there isn't even a single painting or shelf to give my poor eyes a rest. The only break from the blinding white light is the full wall of glass behind the old man at his desk. It may be an odd setup, but it really is an incredible view of the entire city. As the two of us sit down, I activate Conceal to prepare my status along with Inspect and Appraisal to check out the man running this get-together. LV 731. Active items. Ring of Eternal Protection plus 150% defense. 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 Scale of the Elder Dragon plus 180% magic resistance. Active skills. Extreme Strength, Legendary Grade. Extreme Speed, Legendary Grade. Appraisal, Special Grade. Stealth, Special Grade. I let out a gasp, then cover it up with a light cough as my eyes open wide to take in this old man's stats. He continues to smile as we seat ourselves, then starts off with an introduction. My name is Brutus C. Matthews. I'm the Vice Region's head director for the Hunters Association. Let us begin our meeting. The main topic today is Jay's new contract. Chapter 124. As the old man speaks, my eyes keep scanning over his status in disbelief. I've never seen anyone with more than 2 skills besides myself. To top it off, he's over level 700, has a 900% defense buff, and a 180% magic resistance item. He's a B-class hunter, with multiple legendary and special grade combat skills. Today I've met 3 people that could crush me in an instant. A mere C-class is a very little fish in the grand scheme of things. I've heard of people buying very rare items to add skills to their status. There have also been whispers of items that can force a skill upgrade. I guess the association has bottomless pockets for a regional director like him. I stay quiet while the old man continues to speak. He reaches into his shirt pocket and pulls out a small rectangular card. This is for you. I'd like to congratulate you on passing your rank-up exam. I made sure this one would be extra difficult. Only 43 of you passed. Can you believe that? Brutus lets out a chuckle while placing the small white card down on his desk with a firm thud. I shift my eyes to see my face and a large letter C, along with the association's logo on my new hunter's license. I nod and go to take the card, but the director speaks up before my hand gets anywhere near his desk. Please, open your status for me, Jay. I'd like to see what we're working with before moving forward. I tighten my lips and bring my hand back to my lap before opening my status. I've been using Conceal this whole time, so no more changes are necessary. I flip the blue text screen toward him. I've deleted any unique or suspicious items from my list, such as the contact lenses and Demon's Core. I don't bother editing my level, showing that isn't a huge deal. My skills, on the other hand, I only leave 3 visible. Combat Magic, Advanced Fire Summoning, Swordsmanship, Dagger Mastery. Rodrigo already told the association I'm a fire user, along with being a multi-skill user. I have to make it somewhat believable that he would pick me of all people to show to the association, but also not too unique. I gulp as the director eyes my status. He grins, then presses a small white button on the side of his desk. Very good. 3 combat skills, and one of them is Advanced Fire Summoning. Fire is the most common combat magic, but those with the upgraded version don't show their faces very often. I knew a few hunters with that perk back in my day. Those flames don't go out easily, do they? I shake my head as he laughs a bit and keeps babbling on. Well, according to your status and my full appraisal, you have very naturally boosted speed and agility. A close combat fighter, an advanced magic user, you'll definitely be a great asset to the association. I tighten my gaze and frown a bit at his last statement, but before I can speak up, the elevator dings behind me. The director grins, pointing an open palm toward the back of the room. This is my assistant, Samantha. She'll be helping us sign your contract today. Rodrigo gives me a side eye, then nods firmly. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it can't be good. A tall blonde woman with pale skin and a shimmering white dress walks over to us, making light clicking sounds as her heels tap against the hard floor. Good afternoon, Director. How can I be of assistance? He nods, pointing his head down toward me ever so slightly. I'll begin the questioning. I'd like you to stand by and assist me as usual. She smiles while making her way behind the large desk to look me in the eyes. Very well. I'm ready to begin when you are. I use appraisal on the woman out of curiosity. LV. 149. Active items. Amulet of Protection plus 35% defense. Enchanted Platinum Ring plus 50% mental strength. Active skills. Lie Detector. Special grade. My eyes shift back and forth while the seriousness of this meeting begins to sink in. She's a walking lie detector. I can only imagine what that skill does exactly, but I have a pretty good idea. I'll have to choose my words very carefully from this point forward. The director begins. Well, first of all, I don't think an in-depth physical exam is necessary. Your skills and stats are very straightforward. There isn't much left up to chance with you. I like it. He shifts his gaze to Rodrigo. I was hoping you could bring me in a unique skill user today. So much for getting my hopes up. Sorry, Director. I thought an advanced fire user would suit your taste. Rodrigo's face looks visibly confused. It makes sense. He saw me use over half a dozen skills back in the exam, yet the director believes I only have 3. Brutus continues. Also, it's very unfortunate the labyrinth collapsed before you could reap its rewards. If there are any pop-ups in the Vice region during the next surge, the core is all yours, you have my word. The A-class nods. Appreciate it, Director. The old man turns back to me. You'll be joining the association today, and I hope you understand why. I stare forward but don't respond. He continues. As I'm sure you're quite aware, there was a pretty large surge recently. The increase in activity is rather troubling. Most private guilds have been ignoring the problem and leaving this mess in the hands of the association. From seeing the look on your face, I can tell this may be a difficult conversation for us to have moving forward. I finally speak up. Yeah, I think it might be. What's any of this have to do with me? Why is this my problem? He nods and lifts my C-Class ID in the air. This is why it's your problem. What takes most people a lifetime took you just a few months to achieve. Plus, our very own A-Class examiner picked you out as the hunter with the most potential out of all the exam candidates. I even spoke to your friend Ari this morning. He was high on the list too. He spoke very fondly of you. I raise an eyebrow. Ari must have joined this morning like he said he would. Good for him, he's taking on his own path to glory. On the other hand, I don't exactly get to choose for myself, do I? This whole meeting feels totally off. If there's any good way out of this, I'm taking it the first chance I can get. The director continues, and my heart skips a beat at the next line that comes out of his mouth. Now your sword. I'd like to see it. I gulp. My sword, why? The old man puts both of his hands out on his desk. Don't worry, I can handle it. Rodrigo filled me in on the details. Apparently, you had it made over at Apollo's in the Vice City Mall. My mind starts racing. I look at the fair-skinned woman, then back to the director. He continues. Element stones are regulated by the association. We haven't farmed any firestones in quite a while. I was surprised to hear about your sword. Please, let me take a look at it. I gulp. reaching into my item box to take out the long dark firestone-imbued sword. The director's eyes light up as I place it into his open hands. Flames begin erupting from the blade, but the old man just grins as the fire attempts to burn his hands. This is quite a sword. Who made it for you? Sweat rolls down my forehead as I think very carefully about the next words that come out of my mouth. I talked to a craftsman at Apollo's like you said. I asked a short, bald worker there to make my sword. Forgive me, I don't remember his name. Still holding my burning blade without flinching one bit, the director turns to his assistant. She nods. A rush of relief comes over me. That must mean I've deceived her skill. I didn't lie, just tiptoed around the truth. He continues. Do you have any other weapons or items that may be as unique as this one? Maybe you picked up a few things at the exam. I gulp, pause for a few seconds, then reply. I'm wearing most of my gear. Everything I own is on me right now. I don't have anything unique or valuable from the exam in my item box. The woman nods again and the director hands me my sword back with a smile. Very well. This meeting was not as exciting as I thought it'd be. I think I'll just assign you to the newly created Close Combat Extraction Squad. A few of your fellow teammates from the exam will be on it too. He turns to his assistant. Make sure Trip is available to give this new team the rundown. Call him to greet Jay when he finishes up here and bring him to the other team members. She nods. Of course, sir. I gladly take my sword back, placing it in my item box, but immediately retaliate. Hey, I still don't get it. Why is it mandatory for me to join? Hearing the name of the dagger-wielding hunter Trip from the association that I trained with during my break on the 11th floor of the exam doesn't make me feel any better about this entire situation. He sighs, placing a hand on my ID card and pulling it back toward him. Sure, it's not mandatory. It'd just be in your best interest to sign with us. I'm sure we could come up with a very reasonable contract. You understand how the dungeon system past C-class works, right? I guess I don't. Well, there's a reason most hunters don't level much further than the high 200s or low 300s these days. Normal dungeons begin to stop spawning around this level. Yes, of course, there are always exceptions to the rule, but those exceptions are often very volatile. Rodrigo looks over to me and nods slowly as the old man continues to talk. The only way for hunters to get stronger would be leveling in the labyrinths. All of the 8 major labyrinths in this country are highly regulated by the Hunters Association. He lifts my ID up in the air at my eye level. With that being said, we keep a close eye on hunters with accelerated growth. They're known for either being very beneficial assets or rogues that must be eliminated. He looks over at Rodrigo. He replies, That's right. The director is right. I stare at the ID in his hand, thinking about my options. To a certain extent, everything he's said so far does make sense. The association has control over most of the dungeon industry. There's no point in arguing a pointless matter. I might as well hear him out. He did give me the option to say no. I bite my bottom lip, then reply, Fine. What would the terms of a contract with the association consist of? I'd like to hear what you have to offer. Chapter 125. Brutus C. Matthews, the director of the Vice Regents Hunters Association branch, smiles while sitting back into his chair. Excellent, it's time to get down to business. As a member of the newly formed extraction squad, you'll be farming resources for the association. The lot dash. Before he can continue, I rudely cut the director off mid-sentence. I prefer to fight alone. That's my first request. With a nod, he continues. Please let me finish. We've recruited a large number of hunters from this exam. Your group will be chosen for you, but working as a team is not necessary. Quotas must be met for proper pay, but not mandatory. All missions required by the association will come with rewards hard for you to refuse. Rodrigues Mirks. He's not lying about that. They will always have offers worth taking. I gulp. So, what's the catch? The director clasps his hands together and stares at me. There is no catch. I believe you'll be exclusively working for us and get exclusive rewards. I've been around 4 times longer than you've been alive, kid. I know your type. If it's power you want, this is the place to get it. I'll be able to grant you access to rare dungeons and unlimited floors in the capital's labyrinth. The resources the association can provide will be beyond your wildest dreams. I clench my jaw while looking into the old man's eyes. Everything he says seems reasonable. This all just sounds too good to be true. Was it all just a sick, delusional fantasy that they'd be slave drivers here? I'm not even sure where I got that idea in the first place. Was it Rodrigo? Was he just trying to scare me for the fun of it? No, it's just because he doesn't see my true value. That must be it. I fooled him. I followed the A-class advice, not to make myself too desirable. I stood out just enough to make it seem like I'm not hiding a thing. Maybe joining up with the government wouldn't be such a bad idea. The only hard part is, I'll have to keep my powers even more hidden the higher up the ranks I climb. Without them, I'd be stuck in D-class or lower dungeons for the rest of my life. There's no possible chance of trying any use of force here. That would be beyond dumb on so many levels. Using words is my best option. After a long sigh, I reply, "Okay, I'm interested. Let's make a deal." With a grin, the old man reaches under his desk and takes out a pile of paperwork. He turns to his assistant, then to the A-class sitting next to me. "Samantha, thank you very much. It seems your skill wasn't very necessary today, but it's always a pleasure. Better safe than sorry. Rodrigo, this was your last task for our current deal. You're free to leave or stay for the rank-up celebration if you please. I'll send over notes to the main HQ to get your reward reprocessed. You know we'll take good care of you." Rodrigo gets up, shakes the director's hand, and turns to leave. "It was nice meeting you, Jay. Welcome to the association. Careful out there. As much as I hate to say it, I have a hunch we'll be seeing each other again soon." He waves goodbye, and I muster out a "see ya" as both him and Samantha get on the elevator and head downstairs. I turn to the director. He slides me a few different piles of paperwork along with my C-Class ID. I begin reading. The low hum of the white mana shields all around fills my ears as we sit in silence. I slowly flip through the pages in front of me. Over 40 minutes go by. I've examined each section thoroughly and signed every page but the last one so far. Honestly, this isn't the kind of offer I expected at all, in a good way. These papers outline a 6-month, non-exclusive contract. The only downside is, without association's approval, I won't be allowed into any dungeons above D-class rated. For anything lower, I'll be able to freely farm resources for myself or other guilds without restrictions. The only mention of consistent pay is if I opt into weekly or monthly missions within an exclusive contract offer. This is a part of the contract I decided not to sign. It's not mandatory for my non-exclusive deal. It's just recommended for longer-term success within the organization. My pay will be based on quotas. That's it. Apparently, there are resource farming quotas that need to be filled by teams as well as individual offers. Performance-based reward-style pay is more up my alley. I'll meet my team and get my first instructions after this meeting. With a satisfied look on my face, I sign the final line at the bottom of the last page. The director smiles as I look up at him, then we shake hands. "Welcome to the association, Jay. I can already tell we'll be doing great business together in the future." "I think you're right. Maybe I had the wrong idea about you all when I first stepped into this office. After the fact, I couldn't have come up with a better offer myself. I look forward to working with you, Director." With that out of the way and a few more formal goodbyes, I take my new C-Class license and get into the elevator to head downstairs. The rank-up celebration is starting within an hour. I press the button to the bottom floor, basically holding my breath the whole way down. I made it into the association without exposing my secret. Maybe I can just live an ordinary life as a high-ranking hunter. I'll have to be a lot more careful from now on. I let out a sigh, then a light grin forms on my face. Things are looking up. Today will be the start of my new life at the association. Ding! The elevator hits the bottom floor. My stomach drops, and the thin smile completely leaves my face as I see who is waiting to greet me. It's a tall and slim young man with slightly blonde hair. I remember him very well. and it seems he remembers me. Hey, could it be? Jay? It's me, Trip. I knew I recognized the name, but never thought it'd be the same hunter. Who would have thought so many dagger wielders would join the association today? Welcome aboard. I blink a few times, staring at the excited man dressed in an association getup. He continues, "Come on. Follow me. The celebration is about to begin. I have to get you and your team situated before the event starts." He turns and starts walking. I let out an audible gulp and follow close behind. Does he not remember that we fought together while the exams were going on? No, he said he recognized my name. Is he just that dense? Does he not see any red flags here? A million questions race through my head as Trip leads me through the crowd of hunters and businessmen. Sweat begins to form on my forehead, and my stomach still feels like it's about to come out of my mouth. The last few hours have been one crazy emotional roller coaster. I can't seem to catch a break. The moment I've been dreading for the last 15 seconds finally comes. The blonde-haired C-Class turns his head, giving me a sly grin, while speaking in a low tone. It seems I know something the higher-ups don't. How exactly did you manage to meet me in the dungeon hub this weekend while simultaneously taking the exam? I swallow a mouthful of non-existent saliva, then begin to answer. I have a good reason for this. It's just best we don't go into detail, here of all places. I shift my eyes back and forth, making sure no one is paying any particularly close attention to us. Trip rolls his eyes and smiles. Fine. Keep your secrets for now, but I will find out eventually. I'm no snitch, but I always get what I want. Anyways, I'll be your team's guide for the first few days to make sure you're all headed in the right direction. Double overtime pay, baby. He makes quick eye contact with me, clearly excited about his extra pay, then turns to keep walking through the crowd. I let out an exhale, feeling a little bit better. Trip is not hostile, but definitely a bit annoying. He leads me over to a door at the back of the lobby and opens it after scanning his ID on a pad above the handle. As I follow him inside, he starts giving me a lecture. So, first things first, this is the entrance to the Hunter's Trade Center. There are 5 doors at the back of the lobby. They all lead to the same place, so don't overthink that part too much. I look around as we walk through a narrow hallway with a black-tiled floor and white walls humming with mana. Another door appears about 10 meters inside. Trip scans his ID again, and we walk through. Here we are. This is where you'll be getting your quota assignments, registering farmed materials, and buying or renting gear. As we walk in, my eyes open wide to see a large open room with tall ceilings. The floor is still covered in black tiles, and the walls still remain white, but there are neon signs and lights filling my vision from all directions. To my left, right, and center I see multiple rooms remodeled to look like open storefronts. They have signs with pink, blue, and green moving text that give general prices for buying and selling loot. There are clear walls and floating shelves that hold shiny swords and various potions. Crystals and trinkets fill my vision along with thousands of questions filling my head. There's a credit exchange system that isn't gold-based, and it's a bit hard to understand. I open my mouth while turning to Trip, but he cuts me off before I can even get a word out. I know. There's a lot to take in. We'll go through everything with your team very soon. It'll make much more sense. Trust me. I just nod, wide-eyed taking in the view as I continue to follow Trip through the mini shopping center. We make it to the other side and he scans his ID on yet another door. We walk through. This here is our final stop of the tour. We call it the lounge. The two of us enter the last room, and I quietly take in the view. The name definitely suits it well. The black tile floor is a common trend now, it stays the same. Surprisingly, the walls in this room are not mana reinforced, or at least they don't seem to be. There are 2 small-looking merchant stands built into both sides of the room. The one to my right seems to be a cafe selling drinks and small food items. The larger setup to my left is a medium-scale restaurant. It looks like they sell a variety of foods. The center of the room is filled with tables, couches, odd-looking beanbag-shaped chairs, and about 3 dozen hunters to go with it. Everyone here is reading, sharing casual conversation, and well, for a lack of better words, lounging around. Trip grins as I scan over the private resting area for association workers, then speaks up as a group of 3 starts walking toward us. Looks like the rest of your team has come to greet you. I turn my head to see who he's talking about, then let out a light gasp. Ari, Maria, and Abby come walking toward me in full Hunters Association uniforms. This day just keeps getting weirder. Chapter 126. Maria is the first to run at me with arms outstretched. Jay, where have you been? We couldn't find you at the hotel earlier this morning. Where'd you run off to? I let out an awkward laugh, dodging the question as Maria throws herself onto me. She smiles while finishing her long hug and backing up to look me in the eyes. I wanted to tell you before I left this morning, but like I said, you were gone. I joined the association too. I couldn't just leave you here all alone. Plus, they gave me a pretty good offer. I nod, looking her up and down. It seems that way. Aren't you contracted with the Pace Guild exclusively though? Well, yeah, but they let me sign a non-exclusive supplement contract. All dungeons D-class and below can be farmed with the guild, while higher-level areas will be strictly association business. My contract is very similar. Maria stands in front of me smiling ear to ear. My gaze shifts to Ari and Abby. The green-haired girl looks like she's in her natural habitat here. A few people passing by smile and say hi as they come and leave. They already know her. Abby looks over at me. Welcome to the association, Jay. It isn't exactly like the warm welcome I received on my first day, but I'm glad you're here. I have an exclusive contract if you were curious. Mandatory missions are set up for me and I'm paid accordingly. My newest job is to be a part of this extraction squad. So, we'll be working together a lot from now on. I give her a kind nod, but Ari speaks up before I can get any words out. Same goes for me. I signed an exclusive contract too. Different terms, but the same style of agreement. I'll be on this extraction squad. I'm glad it's you 3. Trusting another group of new recruits would be a bit more difficult. I look back and forth at my 3 new teammates in front of me, not knowing exactly what to say. Sure, we worked together during the exams and I've even trained with Abby and Maria a few times, but after I hit C-class I was expecting to go straight back to solo dungeon diving. Continuing to work with a team will be a change of pace. Ari is right about one thing. I'm glad it's them and not a group of randoms thrown together by the association. I let out a long exhale, then speak up. Well, I'm glad we'll all be working together too. After this line, Trip steps in and has a word. All right, I'll be showing the 4 of you around for a little while. I'm part of a similar group. We do weekly missions and fill certain quotas. The higher-ups told me your squad will most likely be a bit more aggressive for the harder missions. More power to you, I guess. He grins. Follow me. Let's get you all situated with your duties. Then we'll join the party upstairs. The second-floor banquet hall will be filled with hunters and executives within the hour. It's tradition, rather boring, but there's always good food and drinks, so we'll have to check it out. Light on his feet, the blonde dagger wielder turns and starts walking toward the door that we just entered. He motions for the rest of us to follow, so we do without another word. There are no locks on the doors from the inside. They just click open with a slight push. All 5 of us make our way through into the bright-colored mini-market. Immediately, my eyes are drawn to all the moving lights again. Trip points to a smaller storefront at the back of the room. Come on, this way. As we get closer, a short middle-aged woman with white hair and bright blue eyes begins waving to us with an overly energetic smile on her face. Trip, how you doing? Are these another new group of recruits? He replies with a greeting, then steps out of the way to let us all introduce ourselves one by one. Afterward, the woman eagerly replies, Well, it's nice to meet the lot of you. It seems we'll be doing a whole lot of business in the future. My name is Sophia Greenday, but you can just call me Sophie. Got it. The 4 of us nod as the short white-haired woman starts sifting through a bunch of small shimmering tablets. They glow with silver and white light and are about the size of an ID card. Finally, she looks up. Here, each of you, take your quota counters. You'll track your progress there and hand them back in at the end of every weekly or monthly cycle. Or don't hand them in at all, you just won't get paid. It's not like I care. She lets out a laugh, then continues. Anyways, take a look. We have a pretty simple first week. Usually, we'd stack a few individual tasks in with the team tasks, but the director picked this one out specifically for you four. I look down at the small rectangular card. It reads out a few lines of text. J. Soju. Available credits. 0. C-Class. Team Weekly Quota. Strengthening Fragments. 0 out of 10. Reward. 5 credits. Individual Weekly Quota. None. 0/0. Reward. 0 credits. I mumble under my breath. Strengthening fragments? What are these? Trip peeks over at my card and lets out a gulp, then looks at Sophie wide-eyed. Is the director crazy? I know he said this squad would be on the lookout for some aggressive missions, but strengthening fragments, those are only found in the Great Plains dungeon. My squad doesn't even train there ever since the incident. Titans are wildly unpredictable. Is this really Dash? The white-haired woman cuts him off. That's what the director ordered. It's not like I make the rules around here. I just pay people for following them. I continue to stare down at the shimmering card for a moment. There are so many questions to ask, but Sophie continues talking. Anyways, I know some of you are new here, so let me explain how this works. First things first, your team's weekly quota. As Trip kindly mentioned, strengthening fragments are only found in the Great Plains dungeon. Just flash your C-Class cards at the dungeon hub, and you'll be able to get in with no problem. We all stand in a line, watching her wave her short arms as she speaks. Strengthening fragments look like this. Sophie rummages around in a few drawers until finally lifting up a small black gem in front of her face. The coin-sized crystal gives off a small shimmer, reflecting the neon lights around us a little, but overall it's a pretty dull-looking rock. In the Great Plains, most of the normal mobs will drop one of these once every 1,000 kills or so. Abby jumps in immediately after hearing this statement. 1,000? So you're telling me we have to kill over 10,000 C-Class monsters? Sophie laughs and places the gem down in front of her. Well, there are some stronger monsters the further in you travel. Mutants aren't too uncommon, they have a 10 times more likely drop rate. They may be your best bet for quicker farming. I stare straight down at the card, still thinking over a few things said earlier. While raising my head to meet the white-haired woman's gaze, I speak up. 2 questions. What are these credits for, and what are Titans? The monsters Trip mentioned before. Sophie grins. Well, the credit reward displayed on your card is 5 for this task. If all of you together can farm 10 strengthening fragments, that reward will be paid out to each of you individually. So, 20 credits in total for the group. Credits may be exchanged for 1 gold coin each, or used as currency at any Hunters Association run shop. The value is nearly doubled if used to buy gear or materials from the shops. Credits can only be spent or exchanged for gold. It's impossible to buy more. She crosses her arms and looks at Trip with a smirk, then back to me. Titans? They're more of a myth these days because no one is stupid enough to go deep into that dungeon to fight them anymore. Titans are enormous creatures that spawn at the back of the Great Plains dungeon. There was a pretty bad squad wipe that happened a few years back. A bunch of high-level C-Class and some B-Class hunters just disappeared. The only explanation was the Titans, so most people have just stayed clear of it since. They're pretty odd creatures and almost impossible to kill. If by chance you see one, you'll know what it is and what to do. Run. The 4 of us stand there in silence, but Trip chimes in to break the awkward tension moments later. Just don't venture too deep in. Like Sophie said, they reside deep in the dungeon. She replies, their strengthening fragment drop rate is almost 100% though. Trip lets out a sigh, rolling his eyes as Sophie finishes up her speech. To be clear, you don't have to all work together. Your squad has a unique contract. Each of you just has to submit the requested farmed loot to me or one of the association run shops within the week. Once all 10 strengthening fragments have been collected, the reward will automatically hit your account and a new quota will appear. It seems none of you have individual tasks this week, so you don't have to worry about that. It's rather self-explanatory though. Trip nods. The director is definitely trying to power level you 4. That's the only explanation I can think of. It'll be a brutal week of training. I place the shimmering card in my item box, and my teammates do the same. The blonde-haired C-Class turns with a smile toward the door. Well, on that note, thanks Sophie. Great seeing you. Let's head off to the rank-up celebration. I'm starving. He begins to walk away toward the exit. With a few words and waves of goodbye, the 4 of us follow. We leave the mini shopping area, walk through the narrow hallway back into the lobby, then make our way upstairs. The crowd from earlier has mostly dispersed. Hunters and executives have made their way up to the 2nd floor. The 4 of us follow Trip to the elevator to do the same. I'm not in much of a mood to celebrate again. Last night was more than enough partying for me. Whatever this rank-up event turns out to be, I'm going to do whatever I can to leave early. The only thing on my mind right now is the Great Plains Dungeon. To be more specific, the Titans. A new mysterious, unbeatable opponent. I'm itching to see what a fight with one of these monsters is like. Chapter 127. The 5 of us board the elevator, and Trip taps on the floor 2 option shown on the digital screen. After a few seconds of waiting, we rise to the floor above us. With a ding, the door opens and we enter the banquet hall. It's a long and wide room with dozens of circular tables and a large stage at the back. There's a live band dressed in all white setting up for a performance. Immediately, we're greeted by a beautiful young woman carrying tall glasses of champagne. Welcome, welcome. Please take a drink and make yourselves comfortable. More guests will be arriving soon. Politely, we all take a drink each. I look around the room to see people of all shapes and sizes. It's split about 50-50 between hunters and executives in here. Using Inspect, I find the average hunter is between levels 270 and 320. Almost all of them are C-Class applicants that passed the exam. Most of the staff serving food and drinks are around level 20 to 70. The executives in suits are leveled at random. The bulk of them are between levels 100 and 200, but there are exceptions to this rule. A few level 400+ retired hunters come into my field of vision. It's pretty clear even without my Inspect skill, they wear enchanted rings and very expensive suits. The C-Class executives stand out in the crowd. Ari is doing the same as me, taking in the view of people around us, but for an entirely different reason. He grins and raises his glass to meet mine. Clink. Cheers, Jay. Congrats on ranking up. It's time for me to get busy. My day of networking is about to begin. He lifts the drink to his lips and gulps down the entire thing in seconds. With a swift turn, Ari places his empty glass on a passing waitress' silver tray while grabbing another from a woman walking in the opposite direction. He walks straight over to one of the men I scanned at level 439 and begins introducing himself. I take a sip of my drink and give him a light nod of respect. Maria turns to me as the fizzy drink rolls down my tongue. Hey Jay, Abby and I are going to check out the musicians and find some seats. The blonde and green-haired girls stare at me with excited looks in their eyes. I chuckle. Don't let me hold you two back. Go have fun. I'll be taking care of some business too. They both run off, leaving me alone in the center of the crowded room with Trip. I hear idle chatter all around. Drinks clang against each other and laughter along with talk of money and contracts fills my ears. I zone out, letting the room fall silent, just alone in my own thoughts. This old habit of mine, daydreaming at the most awkward times imaginable. Reflexively, I gulp down the rest of my drink to get into an even fuzzier headspace. It's not that I hate being around people, I just would rather not be around them at all sometimes. Large groups like this in a closed-off space with no plans of leaving give me a weird feeling. I gulp, realizing my MP is slowly dropping for some reason. Snapping out of my moment of peace, I let out a long exhale, realizing my self-regeneration skills passive trait just kicked in, poison resistance. I murmur to myself, I can't even get drunk. With a frown across my face, I continue scanning the room, silently judging everyone that walks by. This is not going to be a fun ceremony. I roll my eyes and place my glass on a server's tray that's passing by, letting out another low-pitched, "I don't want to be here" sounding groan. Trip throws his hand over my shoulder. "You know, you can leave if you want. This is supposed to be a fun event for new hunters looking to make a name for themselves in the association. If you don't want any part in it, feel free to go. I can cover for you." I perk up. "Really?" He points to the elevator. "Yeah, just leave if you want. No one's forcing you to stay. Just make sure to meet up in the lobby tomorrow morning, around 9. I'll be surveying your first dive. The rest of my squad may come along too. I swear the director is trying to get me killed. The Great Plains are no joke." Before Trip finishes his sentence, I've already turned and waved goodbye. With a grin across my face from ear to ear, I board the elevator, make my way down to the lobby, and walk straight out the front door. The midday sun shines on my face as I walk toward the dungeon hub without hesitation. If it's not mandatory, I'm totally ditching that party. The only reason I took this hunter's exam in the first place was so I could fight more powerful monsters. Maybe it took an unexpected turn. I joined the association, but now I can get back to business. It's time to go dungeon diving again. As I approach the hub, I make my way toward the C-Class gate. A couple of heads turn as I approach the guard in front of the moving stairs. Thinking about all the times I watched higher-class hunters enter this gate makes me feel pretty cool right now. The guard on duty takes my ID. "Are you a new C-Class? I haven't seen you enter this gate before." "I am ranked up today, actually." He hands my license back to me, raising an eyebrow but showing me a bright smile. "Oh yeah? Congrats. As a solo hunter, I'd recommend trying out the High Ogre or High Orc dungeons. Even the Yeti dungeon could be a good fit. They're good for farming mana crystals and combat items. Most of the high-grade dungeons aren't touched much these days. Only an occasional B-Class team comes in and clears them on order from the association to keep breaks to a minimum. Anyways, who am I to tell a C-Class what to do? I'm sure you've got a plan for today." I nod firmly, walking past the guard. "I appreciate it. Have a good day." I walk down to the C-Class platform. It's completely empty today. My footsteps echo around the underground train station as I walk over to the dungeon list. The 3 dungeons that the guard mentioned earlier are on the top of the low-grade list. There are only 7 C-Class dungeons available here in total. 5 of them are low grades and 2 are high grades. There's no in-between. This is a lot less to pick from than the old D-Class platform. There are dozens over there. I smirk, reading out the Great Plains as one of the options on the high-grade list. Immediately, I walk over to the pickup point to wait for a train. Less than 5 minutes later, my ride comes and I board to make my way over to the dungeon. Still, no other hunters are in sight. I'm all alone in the C-Class raids today. Everyone else must be on duty or at the celebration. After watching the cement walls fly by outside my window, I finally arrive and make my way up the escalator to see the floating portal in the small, isolated room. I reach into my item storage and take out both of my new daggers. This will be the perfect opportunity to test them out. I jump through the spinning mass of energy and enter the Great Plains. A wave of hot, dry air hits my face as I enter the dungeon. It's nowhere near as hot as the final floor of the labyrinth, but still noticeably different than the outside world. I step forward to hear a light crunch, then look down to see sun-bleached grass and small dried-up shrubs along the arid climate's ground. There are hills that rise and fall in the distance, making it hard to see how far out this dungeon really goes outward. Occasionally, a small tree with very few leaves, no more than 5 m high, disrupts the nearly flat ground stretching off to the horizon. While gripping both of my bright red daggers tightly, the trek deep into this dungeon begins. I activate enemy detection and inspect. Sending my feelers out into the dungeon, I try expanding my range with the all-seeing eye ability. Seconds after I do, the first oddity of this dungeon begins to sink in. While usually it just takes a few seconds to feel out 3 kilometers or so of dungeon radius, this one is a lot different. It just keeps on going. The first enemies I sense are around 1 kilometer away. then more 3 to 5 kilometers out, but it doesn't stop. 10 kilometers out, there's more. 20 kilometers out, even more. 30 km. I hit a mental wall. I turn off my perception ability to reach into my item storage and plunder the MP from a few mana crystals. This dungeon seems endless. I can't even find the back side of it with a full bar of mana. I smirk and murmur under my breath. So, these are the Great Plains. Shifting my walking direction slightly, I head off toward my first opponent. 1200 m. LV. 311. The dirt beneath my feet is a light color brown, and there's a nice cool breeze that teases me every few minutes. The gusts of air are almost refreshing, but leave me wanting more as the sun beats down from above. The walk is pretty peaceful, but I'm ready for some action. Finally, a monster comes into view. It's already noticed me from a distance and is charging, spinning up a dust cloud in its wake. I use appraisal to see exactly what I'm dealing with. Active items. Ironclad armor set plus 1000 defense. Rhino's crushing horn plus 700 strength. Active skills. Berserker. Body hardening. Special grade. A large creature, over 6 m long and 4 m tall, comes barreling toward me in shining black armor, glowing red with angry eyes locked on me, radiating intent to kill. It looks like an oversized rhinoceros, with a huge white horn sticking out of its nose pointing straight ahead. The monster's body is covered in veins and dense muscles that bulge out of its heavy armor set. Grunts and a deep, bellowing roar erupt from its mouth as it gets closer. I begin to glow with a combination of red and golden light while imbuing my daggers with mana and wind magic. My first fight in the Great Plains is about to begin. Chapter 128. The enormous rhino creature charges at me on all fours, glowing red from its berserker skill. It's covered in black armor along with shining body-hardening crystals from its second skill. I grit my teeth and grip my wind-imbued daggers to match its energy. It's time to finally test these blades out. I take a deep breath while focusing my mana deep within the dual daggers. It's much easier to control mana with my all-seeing eye active, plus all the practice I've gotten from charging up my fire-imbued sword helps a lot. The mana mixed with dense wind energy begins to swirl around inside blades as they glow with white light. Just like my long sword, these weapons have an ego of their own as well. They want to fly. Their natural instinct is to release the immense winds within them. The twin blades erupt with energy. I thrust them downwards to the sides of my body, forcing the wind magic to slice into the ground on either side of me. The brutal force of the attack blows dirt and stone in all directions as I fly up into the air. With minor corrections from my own wind summoning, I use this boost of speed to hurtle myself toward the approaching monster. The beast grunts, raising its massive horn in the air as I fall down at it with blinding speed. Layers of dense wind cover my body, along with both my blades. Focusing straight ahead, aiming my attack directly at the creature before me, I let out a yell and release a dazzling wave of silver light. A crescent of shimmering wind energy leaves both my daggers to form a single attack. It glistens and shines, making the dense pocket of wind magic look like a shining silver sword flying through the air. Shing! My laser focus doesn't budge for even a second. With both eyes locked on the charging beast, I watch my new blade's first attack slice the monster in two like a hot wire melting through foam. I land on the ground with a loud thud, cracking the ground in front of the fallen beast. It didn't stand a chance. Grinning while twirling my still glowing blades, I admire my work as the two halves of a massive monster settle and its blood soaks into the dry ground. The red glow of its berserker skill dissipates as I watch its mass disappear over the next minute or so. It drops a heavy mana crystal, but nothing else. I toss it into my item storage and begin wandering deeper into the dungeon. Well, that was a disappointment. At least I have a better feel for my new blades now. Sophie said there were 3 tiers of monsters in this dungeon. The regular mobs, the mutants, and the titans. Using enemy detection, I begin to locate and obliterate every stray monster in my path. The rhinos mostly travel alone, but the deeper I venture in, the more likely they are to travel in groups. In just under 2 hours, I travel 10 kilometers into the dungeon and defeat 14 monsters. So far, all they drop are mana crystals, nothing else. I continue onward until a much higher level pops up on my enemy detection radar. 800M. LV. 377. LV. 313. LV. 312. LV. 310. Looks like I found my first mutant. With an eager grin plastered across my face, I start air-stepping in the direction of the 4 newly spotted monsters. I'll finally get some real action. A few minutes later, the groups of creatures come into full view as I climb over a small desolate hill. I see 3 similar monsters to the ones I've been fighting. The lower-level beasts are the first to charge. Immediately, they begin sprinting toward me. A dust cloud forms and the ground shakes, but I match their attack and lunge in to begin our battle. The 3 disposable pawns are taken out in an instant. As the dust clears, I see a pair of glowing red eyes approach. I use appraisal on the level 377 mutant in front of me to gauge the strength of my opponent. Active items. Rhino Commander's Ironclad Armor Set plus 1100 defense. Rhino Commander's Crushing Horn plus 900 strength. Rhino Commander's Battle Axe plus 500 strength. Rhino Commander's Battle Axe plus 500 strength. Active skills. Berserker. Body Hardening. Special Grade. Extreme Strength. Thud. 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 A 5M tall humanoid creature glows a red and golden light, similar to my own. It has a body just like a high ogre, quick and agile looking, but still bulky and strong. This tough hide is that of a rhinoceros and its head matches the theme. A massive horn juts out right below its eyes. Carries 2 silver axes, 1 in each hand. They're both larger than my entire body and the monster swings them around with ease. The beast lets out a roar, releasing a murderous aura while glaring down at me. This mutant half-man half-rhino is ready to battle. Luckily, so am I. Without hesitation, I make my move. Charging up my daggers, I let out an attack powerful enough to slice its minions in 2. The shimmering crescent of energy flies through the air toward the monster's open neck. It raises both axes and deflects my attack with a loud grunt and a roar as the wave of wind spirals up into the air. It turns to me and launches an attack of its own. With axes held steady and body-hardening crystals covering its vital points, the monster makes its move. Clang. I catch its 2 shining twin axes with my own in midair. I grit my teeth and use all the strength and wind magic in my arsenal to push the monster's attack away. But it's no use. The 2 massive blades slowly sink down toward me as the beast overpowers my defense with brute strength. Erupting into flames, I try to push back using every buff and skill I have. The silver axes come closer and closer. I let out a sigh and a grunt, realizing I'll have to fight with my head. Dungeon Walker. Instantly, I vanish from beneath the monster's weapons and appear behind it, releasing a full-powered wind attack from my daggers. Completely caught off guard, the mutant creature takes an unexpected wind slash to the back. It lets out an angry and confused roar as black fragments of body-hardening crystals shatter into the air, and a bloody gash opens up between a gap in its armor. I smirk while teleporting to its opposite side as it angrily turns around with axes ready to strike at me again. Another shimmering crest of wind magic comes flying out of my twin daggers, hitting the clueless monster in another armor gap. It lets out a roar as black crystals shatter into the air and red blood trickles down its sides. The beast turns again, immediately spotting me after the attack. I teleport to its blind spot to release another brutal strike. Over and over, I let out powerful attacks with my new blades. This monster isn't dumb, and it's the furthest thing from weak. I'm just a lot faster and much more agile. It doesn't stand a chance against my quickness and teleportation skill. Over half a dozen wind slashes later, the monster begins to slow down even more. It begins having trouble holding its axis steady, and its breaths become audible between grunts of pain. Another half-dozen wind slashes later and it falls to its knees. I stand 10 in front of the mutant humanoid rhino and point both my blades at the thoroughly defeated monster. Concentrating mana and wind magic into the center of both blades, I slowly bring them toward each other until they meet with a light metallic clink. The blades merge into one heavy dagger, and I charge up the final attack. Glowing bright white, I take a deep breath in and out before bringing the blade across my body to release a ripple of glimmering silver energy. In the blink of an eye, the attack soars through the air and slices through the bloodied mutant's neck with ease. Thud. Its head falls to the floor as I power down my skills and twirl my dagger around my right hand. Level up. I patiently wait for the monster to dissolve, but it drops nothing but a mana crystal behind. I pick up the stone with a bit of disappointment and throw it in my item storage. While activating enemy detection again, I continue my trek deeper into this never-ending dungeon. That gave me a little rush, but still, there's been no opponents worth my time. Just over 2 more hours go by. I travel another 15 kilometers in and fight 6 more mutants along with their underlings. I've gained 4 more levels, bringing me to 357, but the only loot drops so far have been mana crystals. The further in I travel, the tougher these mutants get, but they're still no match at all for me. I'm hoping to find one of these so-called unkillable titans, but I haven't had any luck. My enemy detection skill is even acting up. Every time I try to scan for more enemies, weird chunks of dungeon space don't show up on my mind's eye radar. It's like they don't exist or are being blocked from detection. I've experienced weird dungeon phenomena before, but usually there is a good explanation. This just makes no sense. I keep walking up and down the rising and falling hills hoping to come across an enemy that will put up a good fight, or even one of these mutants to drop one of those strengthening fragments. For all the hype this dungeon received, it's been a pretty boring experience so far. Letting out a long sigh, I continue onward. The deeper I go, the higher the chance I'll find one of these things, right? The hills keep bending up and down as I follow the horizon line in front of me. I'm not too worried about getting lost or going too far in. I can just dungeon walk back to the entrance at any time. Another hour goes by. No more mutants or regular mobs attack me at all. The air has a unique mana consistency to it now, similar to a dungeon break. If I concentrate hard enough, it almost sounds like the dungeon around me is humming. The eerie sensation of being watched comes over me suddenly. Even with my all-seeing eye activated, I can't sense the presence of anything nearby. This is odd. I look around, but there's nothing in sight. I clench my jaw and reach into my item box to grab my sword. Switching my dagger to my left hand, I grip both weapons tightly and get ready for a fight. Something is definitely nearby. Erupting into flames and scanning every bit of dungeon space around me, I prepare for the worst. Maybe it's like one of those giant cyclops? Or a minotaur creature. It could even be an even more mutated form of the rhino monsters I've been facing. All I know is they're apparently really big and really scary. The anticipation is killing me. Then I see it, coming up from behind a hill in the distance. An impossibly huge figure walks toward me. It appears out of nowhere. My enemy detection skill didn't see it coming at all, but it's definitely here now. I crane my neck up to the sky as the shadow of a humanoid monster casts its presence over me. It's easily 30 m tall, and completely void of any defining feature. A black mass of energy in the shape of human approaches without making a sound. Looking into any part of its body feels like I'm staring into the abyss. Its giant feet crack the ground as it approaches, but the dirt and rock that fly off in all directions are eerily silent. Its long legs move slowly, but it covers a lot of ground with every step. The humming sensation of dense mana in the air increases dramatically as the titan rhythmically swings its long jet-black arms back and forth while walking straight toward me. The monster is carving out a valley of destruction behind it, throwing massive chunks of earth and stone into the air like it's kicking up dust. How did I not sense it coming? What is this thing and how is this possible? I gulp, gripping my weapons and charging them both up to glow with white and red light. Activating Inspect, Appraisal, and Enemy Detection, the skills finally get a reading on this creature as it comes within range. 250 m. LV. For 100. Active items. None. Active skills. None. Buffs. Titan's domain hidden ability. So this is a Titan. Chapter 129. The impossibly huge humanoid monster made of odd dark energy continues to crack the ground as it walks toward me in silence. An unnerving hum of intense mana fills my senses as the air around me gets denser and denser with a tingling magic sensation. Titan. This is the creature that Trip and Sophie warned me about, the monster I've been looking for this whole time. Finally, I'll get to go all out. Readying my sword and dagger, I activate all of my stat-boosting skills to glow with a golden red light. The slow-moving Titan doesn't even seem to register my presence. Or at least I can't tell if it does. The emotionless mass of energy the size of a 10-story building trudges forward in my general direction. I begin running full speed ahead toward it. Every step I take makes the humming tone of mana grow louder and the density of magic in the air begins to make my joints tingle. I erupt into flames, covering myself in a barrier of thick fire and wind magic allowing me to continue my charge forward. After less than half a minute, I get within range to release an attack. Swinging both my sword and dagger, I let out a dual attack containing 2 crescents of white and red magic. They soar through the air, as the ominous figure in the distance stays true to its march. My jaw drops as my attack hits the anomaly before my eyes. Both of my attacks collide with the monster's midsection but disappear on impact. The creature doesn't even flinch. It continues slowly moving forward without a moment's hesitation. I grit my teeth and let out another high-powered attack with both my blades. My high-powered energy attacks that previously sliced mutants in half like butter collide with this menace and vanish into thin air. My heart skips a beat. I can't tell if it's fear or excitement. All I know is this is not going to be easy. With a smirk, I dart off to the right side. Some new positioning will give me a clear look at all of its angles. Maybe there's an obvious weakness somewhere. Using my wind magic to increase my travel speed, I make my way around the Titan as it draws even nearer. I'm less than 50 m away from the beast, and the ground shakes with every step it takes. I assume it still hasn't noticed me. The humming in my ears is giving me a minor headache, and the energy in the air feels like a full-blown dungeon break. Letting out a yell, I release another dual attack at the monster's legs. Yet again, all the magic I throw at it immediately disappears into nothingness on impact. It cracks the hard ground while continuing in a steady straight line forward. I run in even closer. If magic won't work, maybe physical attacks will be the only option. The long black leg of the creature is less than 15 m away now. With one long step, it could crush me under its foot from where it stands. Still, even up close there are no distinguishable features. Looking at any part of its body is like staring into an endless abyss of darkness. I clench my jaw and lunge in for any attack. The Titan steps forward, and I launch another full-power strike. With both blades swinging bright with magic, I take a long slice at the monster's open leg. My eyes widen as I feel my blades cut through the air. That's right, the air. My red and white glowing weapons just slip through the Titan's dark flesh without making a sound or even drawing a drop of blood. I would even call it flesh, it's more like an illusion of flesh. This beast is a walking black hole. I react by bursting into flames and shooting advanced fire magic all the way up its leg. But it's futile. All of my attacks just go right through this mysterious black blob of matter and disappear into the void. The hum of mana is so intense up close, I can barely hear myself think. I try one last move. Plunderer. I let out a surprised gasp as the sweet sensation of newly plundered mana enters my body. Finally, I found its weakness. If this creature runs out of MP, I'm sure this ability's defensive effects will wear off eventually. I'll get to see its true form. The Titan's leg begins to move as it takes another long stride. I air-step backward and begin positioning myself for another opportunity to plunder its mana. The giant takes a step and I lunge in to plunder more MP. The sensation of its mana entering my body continues without a hitch. I activate my all-seeing eye, wondering if I'll be able to track its exact remaining mana stores. I've never tried to suck a monster dry of MP before, so this will be a first. I let out an audible gulp as my perception ability activates. I whisper under my breath while decreasing my plunderer skill's intensity, losing motivation. There's no end. The dense, swirling pit of mana before my eyes is like nothing I've ever seen or even thought of before. The outer layer of its body acts as a buffer to keep reality out of the mini-pocket dimension of pure mana inside of it. Swirling clouds of pure white and pink mana look similar to the borders of my own spatial magic skill. A pocket dimension of seemingly endless mana. The absurdity of how deep its MP stores go is baffling. I deactivate my all-seeing eye completely. Staring into the abyss might make someone crazy, but trying to absorb all of its energy would make them absolutely insane. I'm not too sure which one I'll become by the end of this battle. I jump backward as the monster takes another step. My heart is racing and the hum of mana in the air mixed with the nightmare I just laid eyes upon makes my headache even worse. I swallow hard, take a deep breath, and create some distance between myself and the Titan mindlessly walking forward. What is this thing? As I air-step further away, its dense aura fades and the humming dies down. I let out a sigh of relief and try to refocus my thoughts. The Titan takes another step. I watch its massive foot crack the hard ground, throwing dirt and rock in all directions. This gives me an idea. With a smirk, I ready myself for round 2. I dungeon walk in front of the marching behemoth. Lucky for me, it's walking in a direction I've already traveled, so my teleportation skills work like a charm. I place my sword into item storage while separating my dagger into its original twin blades form. I need pure wind energy for this attack. Charging up the 2 blades with every last drop of my available MP, I release an enormous crest of silver and white shimmering light at the monster's feet as it takes its next step forward. The surge of energy I unleash warps the surrounding air as it hurtles toward the ground, collides with the Titan's foot, connecting with the solid earth in perfect synchronicity. A white flash blinds me as the wind magic expands and releases its energy on impact. Rocks and dirt fly everywhere and a massive crater is formed beneath the approaching Titan's step. I brace myself for what's coming while grinning ear to ear. The monster's long black leg continues to step down into the hole my wind magic has created. It mindlessly falls into my trap as I closely watch the events before me unfold. The 30m tall Titan's featureless face falls forward. I grab a mana crystal from my storage, plunder its MP, and dungeon walk back another 50m or so to watch the enormous monster fall to the ground. I let out a laugh, raising my daggers in the air. The battle isn't over yet, but actually landing some kind of physical damage on this thing feels great. It almost looks like it's falling in slow motion. The Titan's arms slowly move up to brace itself for impact, and its legs slightly bend to lessen the fall. I'm eagerly waiting to see what happens. The hum of mana begins to get louder. I gulp, realizing from almost 100m away the magic's intensity feels like I'm standing right in front of it again. Maybe it wasn't the greatest idea to piss off an ominous black mass of unexplainably near-infinite energy. I twirl my blades in my hands, getting ready for whatever it throws at me. This featureless face is still on a crash course for the hard ground, and I can't miss the show. If something goes wrong here, I have plenty of time to teleport away. The closer the monster gets to the ground, the more the humming sound of dense mana around me increases. It's becoming a metallic-sounding buzz at this point. The hair on my neck and arms stands straight up. The only thing I can hear is the vibration of distorted mana in the air, and the anticipation is killing me. My heart pounds harder the closer it gets. Finally, it hits the ground with an earth-shaking thud. My eyes open wide as I watch a shockwave of black energy erupt from its body. The humming mass is moving toward me at speeds too fast to comprehend. It ruptures the ground, throwing mountain-sized chunks of rocks bigger than the Titan in all directions. For hundreds of meters, the ground is covered in a veil of black energy. I hardly let out a yell before it fully engulfs me. Gripping my blades and yelling into a silent void of darkness, the sensation of falling comes over me. I try to use Dungeon Walker, but every pathway is blocked in my mind's eye. I'm in an isolated void of darkness with no way out. All it took was fractions of a second to trap me when I thought I'd trapped it. I'm way out of my league here, and there is nothing I can do. My stomach churns as it slowly gets used to the feeling of weightlessness. I yell, but I can't hear a thing. My breathing is heavy, but it slows down as I calm down and assess the situation. Twisting my body around in midair as I fall. There's nothing but darkness. The overwhelming smell here is metallic, like high-voltage electricity. Activating my all-seeing eye, a few things start to become a bit more clear. I'm surrounded by the same energy the Titan is made of. I was so far away from the monster, yet it still trapped me. How is this possible? Did I fall into a random dungeon anomaly? Is this all just a hallucination?
No.
The most likely scenario is that I've fallen into its hidden ability, the Titan's domain. A small white light appears below me as I continue to fall. Chapter 130. The white light below me continues to grow as I fall further down into the endless void. I try activating Dungeon Walker over and over, but it's no use. This prison of darkness is inescapable. It's the same sensation of nothingness all around me as when I tried to sense way too deep into the dungeon using my enemy detection skill. Now that I'm inside this energy, I can get a better grasp on its vastness. It wasn't that there was nothing to sense, it was that there was way too much of it. According to all my perception skills, the outside world doesn't even exist anymore. I'm trapped within the Titan's domain. The vast realm of energy surrounding me is way too immense for me to comprehend. Almost a full 3 minutes pass as I continue to fall. At this point, I've given up on trying to slow my descent or escape my fate whatsoever. The only thing on my mind is bracing for impact. That white light below me is getting larger and larger, meaning whatever is down there is getting closer and closer. My skills still work, they're just isolated in this odd pocket of space. I activate my body-hardened crystals, try to slow my fall with wind magic, and to top it all off, constantly plunder MP from my surroundings. The air is rich with mana, I can absorb it indefinitely, but that can't exactly help me in my current predicament. Gritting my teeth, I continue to fall. The tiny pinhole-sized beam of light below me has grown to look more like a handheld sports ball now. It's growing faster than before, but my frame of reference is skewed. There's not exactly much for me to compare it to in this pitch-black abyss. Another minute passes of constant MP plundering and futile attempts to slow my fall. The gravity is this pocket is not normal. No matter what I do, I'm pulled downward with an eerily overpowering force. The bright white light below me is about the size of a kid's pool now, and I can tell its shape more clearly. It's a long rectangular box and growing fast. I hold my breath as the white light fills my field of vision. The darkness above fades away as I'm engulfed in white light. The temperature shifts from cool black darkness to hot and dry light. The mana feels more refined and denser in here. It almost feels sharp like little pinpricks as I try to absorb it. So many sensations come over my body all at one time. It's hard to keep track of these changes, or even explain anything that's going on around me. I just accept my fate and continue bracing my body for impact. Finally, I land on something solid with a loud thud followed by a series of cracks. I feel my bones crunch as they hit an impossibly hard white floor. I still grip both my red daggers tightly as black body-hardening crystals shatter, somewhat cushioning the fall. I try to lift myself with wind magic, but the damage has already been done. Letting out a loud grunt and a yell of agony, I lie on the ground for a moment in horrible pain. I watch the last portion of the black abyss fade away as the white ceiling closes shut overhead. Coughing up mouthfuls of blood and regenerating a broken arm and leg, I get to my feet very slowly. While plundering the highly refined mana from the air and floor beneath my feet, I reach into my item storage to drink an HP potion while putting away my daggers. I blink a few times, then take a few steps forward to hear the light echo of my boots against the marble-like floor below me. I gulp, looking around in every direction to see pure whiteness. I run straight ahead into the void of whiteness. Less than 10 seconds later, my face is met with a rudely placed white wall. Thud. Clenching my jaw, I turn to my right and try running in this direction straight ahead too. Less than 5 seconds later, my forehead bounces off another not-so-pleasant white wall of refined mana. Using my wind magic, I airstep upwards to be met with a ceiling made of the same dense material. It seems I'm stuck in a white rectangular box. It's about 100 m long, 50 m wide, and 20 m tall. The void of darkness I was just falling through is nowhere to be seen. I yell out into the empty white room. "Hello? Wadash." I stop mid-sentence as my voice echoes eerily around the walls, fading into silence moments later. The reality of my situation begins to sink in. Activating all my buffs and perception-based skills, including enemy detection and my all-seeing eye, I attempt to find a weak point or some clue of where exactly I am. Now that I'm not falling through endless space, it'll be a bit easier to concentrate. I sit down, take a deep breath. Activating my all-seeing eye, I slowly begin to expand my range. Taking in the MP around me using Plunderer, I let my perception skills range seep out as far as it can possibly go. I'm struck with panic as a gut-wrenching realization comes over me yet again. I vividly remember that dense swirling mana surrounding me on all sides as I fell through darkness moments ago. But a white-walled barrier is blocking me from viewing it now on all sides. There's no exit anywhere in sight. It's like trying to break out of a dungeon without a portal to escape. I can sense that there is space beyond these walls, but trying to access it physically or mentally is far beyond my current capabilities. I gulp. I'm really stuck in the Titan's domain. Anger rushes over me. I pull out my dagger, merge them together, then grab my sword. Without thinking, I start launching full-power attacks at the walls around me. Metallic clangs echo throughout my white-walled prison as the crescents of energy released from my blade collide with the dense, lightly humming mana shields. Over and over, for almost half an hour straight, I continue to plunder MP from the endless supply at my fingertips and release waves of fire and wind at my surroundings. Dripping sweat and breathing heavily, I fall to my knees. Thud. I lie with my back flat on the ground with my sword and dagger by either side as I slowly regain my breath. That little temper tantrum gave me a well-needed dopamine fix for the time being. My mental clarity is back. I let out a sigh, then sit up to place my elbows on my knees. Well, for the time being, I might as well see what I'm working with. I begin sifting through my item storage, pulling out every item I own one by one. I make a pile of useless loot that I've been meaning to sell but have just been distracted lately and never got around to it. It contains a few swords, a shield, some charms, a staff, some clubs and spears, a massive tooth and pearl, a few old daggers, a shaman key, some cursed shackles, tons of miscellaneous coins, a few rings I took off earlier today to fit my new daggers and lenses into my equipped items, and lastly some D-class potions. In a second pile, I take out the ruby-colored dungeon egg along with all of my mana crystals. Lastly, the most important pile is my food and water. Luckily, I still have some leftover dried meat and fruit from the exam. It's a good thing I picked up extras at the convenience store during our break between the first and second tests. This is more than enough to last me a few days comfortably, maybe even a week. My water stores are even better. I have just over a dozen 1-liter bottles. I let out a sigh while looking at my loot scattered across the ground. Now, how am I going to get myself out of this mess? Chapter 131. I stare at my piles of loot on the floor and let out a long, disappointed sigh. The white walls around me hum with a low and eerie tone. It makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I turn my head back and forth to take in the reality of the white walls around me with a clearer mind. With a loud clang, I drop my dagger and sword to begin walking slowly toward the back of the narrow rectangular room. The silent in here. I can hear my footsteps echo throughout the chamber. The small creaks and crunches of my old boots crawl in my ears as I walk. My heavy breaths and consistent heartbeats pound, making me feel queasy. I make it to the end of the hall, activating my all-seeing eye, then turn and begin walking to the other side. There has to be a way out of here. I need to find some kind of weak point. My pacing begins. Back and forth, extending the range of my exceptional perception to its limits. Mana is coursing through my body. It's being burned through almost as quickly as I plunder it. I try with all my might, but the range of my inner vision won't leave this confined space. I can tell there's something out there and have witnessed it for myself firsthand. For some odd reason, I can't peer into the void. Over 2 hours go by. Well, I think it's been 2 hours or so. It's impossible to accurately tell how long I've actually been walking. Using up so much mana on a perception-based skill is very mentally draining. I collapse to my knees beside my 3 piles of loot after confirming there are, in fact, no weak points to this white-walled prison. It's been a long day. Honestly, it's been a long couple of days. Ever since I came to the capital for the exams, it's been non-stop hunting and getting into trouble. It's all of my own doing, though. No one has forced me into anything. I'm just a battle junkie that can't seem to get his fix. My eyes begin to shut as I lie down on the hard marble-like floor and begin to let all my worries drift away. I deserve a break, right? My mind and body are both on the verge of collapse, and the hum of mana around me has become pretty normal for the time being. Over 2 hours in this odd environment makes the hum of energy in the air almost soothing. My breaths begin to slow, and the humming sensation begins to lull me to sleep. I fall away from reality into a blissful dreamland for, well, I'm not exactly sure how long. The mana continues to buzz, and the white-walled room around me continues to miraculously exist within the black abyss that is the Titan's domain. A smile creeps across my face as I calmly snooze away my worries. My brain and body are thankful for the long-awaited rest. In other words, I sleep like a rock. Many, many hours later, my eyes begin to open and the bright white light of the walls on all sides blind me as I wake up. I let out a groan while stretching my arms, legs, and back. Lifting a hand above my face, I cover my eyes to adjust to the brightness while standing to my feet. Another groan leaves my mouth as I reach over to my item stash and start to chug a bottle of water. Aside from this one, there are only 13 full bottles remaining. I stop halfway through and let out a refreshing gasp for air, then take another look around. I'm still in this damn white-walled prison. The second these words leave my mouth, my heart skips a beat. I gulp and run over to my sword and dagger lying on the floor, grabbing them both and cursing under my breath. I was supposed to meet Maria and the others to go hunting today. This is not good. I twist my head around in all directions, snarling at the inanimate humming marble walls that keep me captive. I stretch my back and arms one more time while holding both my weapons tight. After that long rest, my body sure does feel rejuvenated. I sprint around activating my stat-boosting skills while letting out a few practice shots of wind and fire magic at an open wall on the opposite end of the room. With a smirk, I watch the red and white crescents of energy erupt from my blades. I'm hit with a cold, hard slap in the face from reality once again. They collide with the unbreakable walls, fizzling out into dispersed mana. Fine. I guess it's time to get serious. I plant my feet and begin taking in all of the mana in the air around me. With each sword by my side, I start channeling energy into both of them. Activating all my buffs, glowing with crimson golden light, the ultimate charge-up begins. For the first few seconds, the charge-up process is pretty normal. I've done it this way dozens of times. Within 3 to 5 seconds, I can usually charge an entire bar worth of MP in my blades. If I do both at once, 10 seconds should be more than enough. Unfortunately, normal isn't going to cut it this time. After about 15 seconds of continuously plundering MP from my environment while focusing them in my blades, the two weapons glow brighter than I've ever seen them glow before. They've both hit full capacity and surpassed their limits. Each one of them holds close to 2000 MP worth of pure firepower. That's over double my full MP bar in each blade. It's 4000 MP in total for one attack. The air pressure from my dagger is threatening to explode outwards. The dense flames in my sword crackle, waiting patiently to be released and burn everything in their path. An intense white light comes off my dagger and a deadly crimson glow seeps from my sword. I grit my teeth and continue. I can go further. Another 10 seconds pass, and my blades are nearing 2 times the mana capacity they've ever received. The absorption rate slows drastically the further I push it. Both weapons vibrate violently in my hands. Just a little more. Gripping the sentient blades with all my might for another 10 seconds, It feels like an hour passes in my mind. I'm nearly blinded by the white and silver shimmering glow that comes off my dagger, and the dark red flames of my sword become even more ominous. More than 3,500 MP is stored in each individual blade. A combination attack would be close to 4 times any full-power move I've ever attempted. That's 7,000 MP in one attack. My own sword's flames begin to burn my hands, and the dense air around my dagger is making my joints creak, trying to hold on any longer. It's time. Letting out a yell as I swing both blades across the front side of my body. An ear-shattering release of force erupts from my blades. A metallic clanging mixed with the buzzing of my own mana reacting with the unique makeup of magic in the air echoes all around the room. 2 massive crescents of pure energy come rocketing out of my blades. One of them is pure silver. If looked at from the side, it glimmers in and out of existence. A dense attack of wind magic. The other is a dark red flame with flickering black accents. It crackles and bends the air around it, leaving heat waves in its wake. I'm thrown backward, but my eyes stay locked on the 2 powerful energy waves on a crash course for the white wall. On impact, a ground-shaking twang rings out. It definitely feels and sounds different than all of my previous attacks. The moment they hit the mana barrier, something shakes beneath my feet. I'm sure of it. I feel the vibrations all around me. The 2 crescents of pure mana dissipate into the air moments after impact. This new reaction gives me a glimmer of hope. Collapsing to my knees with a smirk plastered across my face, I wipe sweat from my forehead and stare straight ahead at the portion of wall where my full-strength ultimate attack just hit. Not even a scratch. The wall is completely unscathed, but I did feel a minor disturbance. So far, this is my only clue. After standing to my feet, I slowly walk over to my piles of loot and grab a handful of dried fruit while storing my blades in my item storage again. A breakfast of champions, there's only about 10 handfuls of fruit and for 1 kilogram bags of dried meat. It'll last me quite a while, but let's hope I can get out of here before food becomes an actual problem. While chewing on a long strip of dried mango, I begin pacing back and forth along the long room's backside. Activating my all-seeing eye is useless. The only thing I can sense around me is this barrier sealing me off from an endless void. Doing so just fatigues my mind and honestly bums me out for no reason. Dungeon Walker is the same. I can only teleport within this tiny confined space. The echoes of my footsteps while mindlessly pacing begin to fill my thoughts with worry and doubt. The rhythmic beats of my shoes' soles against the hard surface below me begin to be the only thing I can think about. Every hour or so, I attempt to charge my blades up and attack the same portion of the wall. The second time around, I have a pretty similar experience. Hands aching, blades shaking, and wall rattling as the attack hits it with nearly 7,000 MP in total. The whole charge-up process takes about 35 seconds. My third attempt is a bit easier. The blades still shake and my hands still ache with pain as they grip the overly charged weapons, but to get up to the 7,000 MP threshold it takes just over 30 seconds. I push my limits for the extra 5 seconds and muster another 200 MP worth of firepower into the brutal dual strike. The wall vibrates on impact, but yet again, remains completely unharmed. As the day goes by, I manage to charge up 6 more attacks. Each time it gets a little easier to charge up to the previous limit and a tiny bit more MP can be squeezed into each weapon. By my final attack, I'm able to store just under 8,000 MP in both blades combined. That's almost 4,000 MP each and charged to full in just 30 seconds. The metallic twangs of fire and wind-imbued mana attacks on white-walled mana shields are getting louder, and the room-shaking sensation continues to grow slightly as well. I've raised the attack's proficiency just by practicing. There's been no leveling up necessary. I guess training really does work. The mana released from each blade feels a little bit tighter and more refined. I've had more mana flow through my body today than I have in weeks' worth of intense dungeon training. I collapse to the floor next to my piles of loot, grabbing a handful of jerky and chugging the rest of my bottled water from this morning. The immense physical output and meticulous mana control have taken a huge toll on my body and mind. This is good progress. I have nearly unlimited mana to work with in here. I'll train my way out of this madness. I'll escape the Titan's domain. Chapter 132. After my first long day of training, the next morning is not pretty. I groan while stretching my arms and back out on the floor. My muscles feel sore and my skin feels tingly like mini pins and needles all over. My eyes adjust to the blinding white light around and I slowly sit up to let out a long exhale. All attempts at self-regeneration fail to fix much. It must be overuse of my abilities. I haven't ever processed this much mana in one sitting. I felt a similar way after a long hunting session, but never to this extent. I grab another bottle of water, then a handful of fruit, and go for my morning stroll. The mind-numbing pacing begins again. I have to pee pretty badly after a long night's sleep. At first, I panic but decide it's really the least of my worries. Bodily waste can be easily burned to nothing but ash and water vapor. After about half an hour of procrastinating and fully waking myself up, I get to work on my new training regime. First, it's a bit of a tough start. My bones and joints feel sore and my muscles ache while holding onto my blades. I push through. Many tens of thousands of mana points surge through my body today. After 10 total charge-up sessions over the next 8 hours, it feels like every millimeter of my body has been ripped apart with a dull knife and taped back together by a toddler. I collapse onto the ground beside my loot piles once again with a satisfied yet exhausted grin across my face. A lot of progress was made today. Now, in just 25 seconds, I can store up to 4200 MP in both blades. The progression is slowing, but it's far from over yet. I can feel a breakthrough coming soon. I just have to keep pushing. Day 3 comes along and I realize I've just been counting days by sleep cycles. I'm not exactly sure how long I'm out each night, and it's still even hard to tell how long I'm awake each day. They're just guesses. My teammates at the association are probably worried sick, and the director most likely thinks I've bailed and gone rogue. None of that matters now, though. My only worry is making it out of this prison alive. Surprisingly, my body feels a lot better this morning. Sure, my joints and muscles feel like they've been run over by a truck, but that truck definitely lightened its load since it flattened me yesterday. I take my usual morning pacing session while snacking on a handful of fruit, then get to work. My body allowed for 12 full charge-ups today. In 35 seconds, I can store a little more than 4500 MP in each blade. Together, that's just over 9000. Every attack I release becomes tighter and more refined. The mana lets out a higher-pitched hum and the crescents of light are denser and thinner. Every collision with the white wall gives me another glimmer of hope. It vibrates and shakes the room a little bit more with every tweak I achieve while improving my ultimate attack. I fall asleep and repeat the process on day 4. Then again on day 5. Over 100,000 MP surges through my body each day, and I'm able to handle more and more every passing moment. The outside world begins to fade away from the forefront of my mind as I focus on one goal. I need to create a stronger attack. On day 6, I start to get a bit frustrated. My progression is slowing down drastically, and my body's fatigue is building up again. After 16 full charges, I can manage just under 10,000 MP in total. This is pushing to my absolute limits. While hands cramp and flesh burns holding on for almost 40 seconds, this is the best I can manage. Along with my nearing plateau, the slowly diminishing food and water supplies are nerve-wracking. I've started eating less and conserving more water as well. There's only 3 kilograms of jerky, 5 handfuls of fruit, and 10 bottles of water remaining. I either strengthen this attack, or I die a slow and painful death. Another 4 sleep cycles go by. My progress is just getting slower and slower. I've managed to break the 10,000 MP mark, but it still takes me just over 35 seconds to fully charge the attack. It's been 10 days in here. Now I can manage 18 full charges. On the bright side, the glistening waves of mana that come out of my blades are evolving in their own right. My wind has taken an even sleeker form. The more I concentrate and refine my mana, the more transparent the shimming silver air blade becomes. My fire burns hotter and condenses into a deadly-looking black blade of flames. It shows almost no signs of red leaking fire as it rips through the air. On impact, the wind expands into a dazzling silver and white explosion of light. The dense black blade now erupts into a mountain of bright red flames. Every hit shakes the floor beneath me more and more, but I'm increasingly discouraged when the energy disperses to reveal an undamaged white wall every time. At the end of my long 10-day training marathon, I collapse to the floor in mental, physical, and spiritual exhaustion, whispering to myself as I drift off into a long slumber. Am I ever going to make it out of here? As I wake up the next day, my pacing ritual lasts a little longer than usual, close to an hour. The days start to all blend together as I ration out my food into tiny little portions and separate my water into the empty bottles so I don't accidentally drink too much at once. For the average human, I have enough for 10 more days, long and painful days, maybe. I feel like I'm starving to death, and symptoms of dehydration are starting to kick in too. Luckily, with my self-regeneration skill mixed with the natural life energy properties of mana, an awakened person like myself can survive up to 2x longer without proper sustenance than a normal human. I still need to eat food and drink water, but this fact still buys me some time. Possibly 10 more days of time. By then, my attack needs to be strong enough. I need a breakthrough. The lack of nutrition and enough liquids over the next 4 days really begins to take a toll on my body and mind. I sleep longer through the night and begin to train less throughout the day. The silent white walls around me begin to eat away at my sanity, and the lack of progression does not help one bit. It's been 14 days. I can charge up to 10,000 MP in just over 30 seconds, and my attacks keep becoming more and more refined. There's no numerical way to track the purity and density of the mana in each strike, so it's hard to know how much progress I've really achieved in that regard. Due to mind and muscle fatigue, my full daily charges have dropped to about 12 to 14. Over the last 2 weeks, well over 1 million mana points have surged through my body and have come rocketing out of my blades. I've gotten to know my new dagger very well, and have an even better understanding of my sword. We've become much closer, but at what cost? What does any of this matter if I never escape from here? This must be what happened to those C and B-class hunters a while back. The event Trip referred to as the incident. He said they all just disappeared. At the end of day 14, with my eyes gazing upon the white floor and feet dragging behind me, I fall asleep dreading waking up tomorrow. Another day mindlessly throwing full-force attacks at an unbreakable wall. I'm thoroughly exhausted and disappointed in the turn of events that followed my greed for more power. All I wanted to do was fight a strong opponent, but then again I'm constantly looking for a stronger opponent. There's never an end to the journey to the top. I let out a sigh. I've gotten way too ahead of myself. It's just been lucky break after lucky break over and over. Every time I defeat an unbeatable opponent, there's always a loophole. Is there no loophole today? Have I really met my match? Letting out a long exhale, I let my weapons fall to the ground with a clang as I kneel in the middle of my piles of loot. There has to be close to 100 gold worth of items here. Counting my coins, pile of mana crystals, rare loot from the labyrinth, and especially this ruby-colored egg. I could easily sell every last penny of it and retire off in the mountains somewhere. I've already lived any hunter's dream. A contract with the association at 20 years old. Becoming a C-class in just a matter of months. What more could I ask for? Why do I continue to sabotage my own life? I stare at all my loot, regretting my decision to come to this dungeon over and over again in my head. I could have just stayed at that damn party. Anger and frustration have been building up in me for weeks. No amount of slashing at the walls can tame my current rage. The worst part about it is the only person I'm angry at is myself. There's no one to blame here but me. The closest loot pile to me is the pink crystals next to the ruby red egg. As much as I want to erupt into flames and start smashing everything around me, I pretty much can't. My body and mental fatigue from constant training and lack of food and water have taken a huge toll on my resting energy levels. All I can do is sulk in my own sorrow until tomorrow. A good night of sleep is the only thing that can ease my pain. I lie down into the pile of mana crystals in front of me with the ruby red egg by my side and shut my eyes. Within seconds, I drift off into a deep sleep. Hopefully, tomorrow will be a better day. Hours go by and my body heals itself to the best of its ability. I wake up to a curious sound. I hear glass breaking. or more like body-hardening crystals hitting the floor. I open my eyes slowly as the bright white light from my prison cell blinds me. Letting out my signature groan and stretch, I rub my face and adjust to the brightness. The first thing I see are small red crystal fragments all over the floor mixed in with the mana crystals I fell asleep on. I sift my hand through the stones and pick the red fragments out to examine them closely. What is this T-dash? Crunch. I turn my head around as I hear a loud crunch. Fragments of pink mana crystal fly into my field of vision as I activate all my stat-boosting buffs, grab my blades, and stand to my feet. My jaw drops and I stare in awe at the sight before me. There's a small creature, no more than 1 m tall, with shiny black scales, wings, and a long narrow tail with an arrowhead at the tip. The underside of its belly, tail, and wings are bright red. The monster's 2 horns and wide eyes match the crimson theme. It stares up at me with a curious gaze while tossing a mana crystal into its mouth using its tail. Crunch. I gulp, blink a few times, then whisper under my breath. Baby Dragon? Chapter 133. The meter-tall ruby egg I fell asleep next to has shattered. The top of it is cracked open and small red fragments of the shell-like material are all over the ground. I can't believe my eyes. A jet-black glimmering baby dragon is standing right in front of me, eating my mana crystals like candy. Crunch. I activate Inspect and Appraisal. LV. Active items. None. Active skills. Plunderer, Mythic grade. Combat magic. Advanced fire summoning. Buffs.
Gardien S Alliance 0/1.
The creature blinks at me with its crimson eyes and black pupils. Sharp white teeth bite down on another mana crystal as it flips its long pointed tail back and forth. I just stare straight ahead in awe with my mouth wide open. It's really a baby dragon. Everyone and their mother has heard stories about dragons. They're great mythical creatures that guard their treasures at any cost. The strongest, oldest, and most wise of all monsters. How did I get my hands on a dragon? I gulp as we stare at each other in silence. The only noises present are the light humming of mana in the air and occasional crunches as the little creature continues to snack on the pile of pink crystals. Almost a full minute passes. Then the creature whips its tail around from its backside to poke my right leg. The creature backs up slightly and prods at my back jeans with a small sharp arrow-tipped tail. On the 4th poke, my jean fabric rips and its tail touches the skin on my calf. I look down and quickly pull my leg backward while flinching. It didn't hurt that much, but it was an unexpected pinprick. This monster may only be level 1, but that tail is still sharp. The creature jumps backward to match my retreat. The abrupt movements startled it too. I look up with a smile, putting my hands in the air, but what I see leaves me in awe once again. There's a rectangle of blue text floating over the baby dragon's head. I read it carefully.
Gardien S Alliance 0/1.
Accept the Demon/Dragon Guardians Alliance. Yes. No. Baffled by the events unfolding in front of me, I choose yes. There's no reason not to be on the same team as a dragon. The blue text above the small creature disappears. It shows me a wide, toothy smile, then chomps down on another mana crystal. Jaw hanging open, I continue to awkwardly stare. The meter-high creature crawls over to me with agile steps. It flawlessly weaves around the fallen mana crystals all over the ground with cat-like precision. Its agile, winding body looks like a slithering snake as it approaches. I just accepted its alliance, and this creature is only level 1. There are close to 0 threats, and it looks friendly enough. I watch it approach while I let down my guard. The dragon dives between my legs and starts running around in a figure-8 pattern as it rubs its 2 crimson horns against my shins. It grins ear to ear, letting out a light purring noise. The tiny creature stops after about 20 seconds and looks into my eyes again, then promptly sits on my right foot, waving its long black and red tail around in the air. Crunch. It bites down on another mana crystal and chews it to bits. I activate my inspect and appraisal skills again out of curiosity. The alliance buff must show up differently now, right? LV. Active items. None. Active skills. Plunderer, mythic grade. Combat magic. Advanced fire summoning. Buffs. Guardians Alliance. 1-1. Greater Demon Contract. I scrunch my eyebrow trying to process the new subtle changes in information. This doesn't make sense. Two things seem very odd. The first thing out of whack is its level. Somehow, this monster leveled up. Within the last few minutes, all it's done is eat mana crystals and rub its head against my legs. There's no possible way for it to level up in this environment. I look down at the blissfully unaware scaled creature. It's trapped in this prison too. I feel the sensation of mana leaving my body all of a sudden. A lot of it too. The little black dragon sitting on my foot begins to glow a faint red color from its underbelly. I plunder mana from the environment around me, but the constant drain continues. This little monster is plundering my MP. I grin, then let out a chuckle while I carefully slip my foot out of the boot it's sitting on. The creature lets out a light chirping sound of confusion as it twists its head around and crawls toward me to get another sweet hit of my mana. Mythic grade Plunderer must have some kind of mana to EXP conversion attribute. If that's the case, it must have a very low conversion factor. It only grew from level 1 to 2 with half a dozen high-grade mana crystals and almost a full bar of my MP. Still, if my hypothesis is right, that's a really neat skill. I've never seen or heard of a mythic grade skill before. Maybe this is unique to dragons? Or maybe this is the next rank after legendary grade. Now for the second change, the Guardians Alliance has been updated from 0/1 to 1/1, but Greater Demon Contract has also been added. The last time I checked, I was definitely not a Greater Demon. Letting out a long exhale, I look down at the mini dragon as it looks back up at me. I raise one finger in the air and light it on fire. The little creature perks up and shows me another one of its toothy grins. It twists its tail in the air and mimics my fire, lighting the tip of its tail with a dark red flame. I smile and put my fire out. It bobs its head back and forth, then does the same. Well, we're going to be spending a lot of time together, little guy. I might as well give you a name. I scratch my chin, then tap my foot a few times. The dragon just stares at me, blinking and waiting patiently. I stare back for a moment, trying to come up with something cool. Ember. That's a good one, Ember the Eternal Dragon. How do you like it? The little creature still just stares straight ahead. I roll my eyes. What was I thinking? Like it could actually understand me. Unless telepathy. I activate one of my newest skills from the labyrinth, my legendary grade telepathy skill. The moment I do, a soft, wise voice enters my mind. Hello, Master. Nice to finally meet you. Shocked, I reply, sending my voice directly into its mind. Master? I'm your master? You can just call me Jay, and I'll call you Ember. The tiny creature waves its tail with excitement. Yes, Jay. If you say so. So this is our labyrinth's top floor? I will protect it with my life. Ember grins while spinning around to take a look at all four white walls. Then walking over to my loot piles and lying down directly in the center of my mana crystal stash. Crunch. I'm grateful for the mana crystals. It is a great awakening gift. Crunch. I watch the little creature chomp down on half a dozen more crystals. It doesn't bother me much, to be honest. There's an unlimited supply of mana around us. This dragon can eat all the crystals it wants. Ember speaks using the telepathic link again. You're an unusual demon, Jay. Most demons don't look like humans. Crunch. I reply. Most demons? What do you mean by that exactly? Your core shows me that you're a greater demon. I just haven't seen any that look like humans as far back as I can remember. I stare straight ahead as my mana crystals disappear into Ember's mouth one by one. Continues. What are the maximum MP allowances here? How much mana are we working with to start? These crystals are nice and all, but I'll need to plunder some of the mana from our surroundings if I'm going to gain any serious levels. Well, Dash, is this a new labyrinth? Or has my egg been dormant for a while? This seems to be an odd one, but a labyrinth is a labyrinth. It's our duty to protect it after all, right? My heart starts to beat out of my chest. Everything is starting to become very clear to me now, and I'm really not sure how to handle all this newfound information. If my guess here is correct, demons and dragons create some kind of special contract to defend labyrinths. A demon fends off intruders, while the dragon absorbs mana from the growing labyrinth. The growing labyrinth attracts greedy hunters that inevitably try to challenge the top floor's defenders. If the demon and dragon can successfully defend their territory, the fallen hunter's MP is added to their stash and the domain grows in power. The more power that is gained, the greater the labyrinth grows. The bigger the labyrinth grows, the more hunters arrive to gain riches. It's a never-ending cycle. The only issue here is, I'm not a demon, and this dragon has no labyrinth full of mana to absorb. I have to think this through very carefully. I gulp. Then the two of us sit in silence for over a full minute. My mind races for plausible solutions to take full advantage of this situation. Finally, an idea comes to mind. I smirk and reply, Ember, there's been a change of plans. We'll be leaving this labyrinth. Chapter 134. Ember. The shiny black dragon with a crimson underbelly stares at me with curious eyes. He continues to munch on my mana crystals. A change in plans, you say? Leaving the labyrinth? This is not an option for us as Dash. We'll make it an option. I grin, looking straight at my ticket out of here. This could work. I continue to speak to the tiny monster using my telepathy skill. How long does it take for you to absorb mana? And do you have a limit? The creature stops chewing on a large pink crystal for a moment, then looks up at me again. It depends. The first 100 levels or so are usually pretty quick. That'll take a year at most. Then after that, Dash. A year? A full year. The dragon tilts its head and nods firmly one time. My stomach almost comes out of my mouth. I'm really never getting out of this prison. My face, previously full of hope, is now a disappointed mope. I drop to my knees. Well, back to training, I guess. The dragon continues. There have been exceptions in the past. One time I made it to level 300 in under a month. I absorbed an entire 20-floor labyrinth to do it though. My demon was killed in the process and there was a full collapse, but it sure was fun. The higher-ups didn't like that one bit. Over 50 years in a dormant state. I still can't tell if it was worth it. I blankly stare at the dragon, trying to piece together more of its random babbling into coherent thoughts. Did it just say higher-ups? It was punished for killing a demon and destroying a labyrinth for fun? 50 years ago. So, you're saying you could level up faster if you had an enormous mana supply? I raise my hands in the air to point out the obvious nearly infinite mana supply we're stuck in. Again, the confused dragon tilts its head. Ember seems to really think this is just some messed up labyrinth. Sure, I can tell there's a large supply up here, but what about the lower floors? You still haven't given me any of the MP allowances. How long has this spawn been active? How much can I safely plunder per day? I scratch my head, thinking of where I should turn this conversation next. It'd be better if I keep playing along. If it really thinks we're protecting a labyrinth, for the time being, that's what we'll do. I'll explain how we're breaking out of this place once I have a better idea of its capabilities. 100,000. It can handle losing that much a day without a problem. The dragon's eyes open wide. It flaps its wings and jumps up into the air. With a shocking amount of speed, the miniature monster starts doing flips in the air. I really did it this time. I hit the jackpot in this life. Oh, karma's a funny thing. What a millennia to be alive. Grinning ear to ear, Ember finally calms down a bit and drifts back down to the floor. He continues. In that case, I'll still have to take it slow at first. To achieve my first rank up, I'll have to hit level 100. This should be achievable within 5 days. I nod while biting my bottom lip. So it'll take 5 days. The higher level you climb, the faster you can plunder mana? Or dash? Yeah and no. I'll be able to absorb mana much quicker, but as my levels grow it takes much more mana to continue my steady progression. Hopefully, no hunters challenge us before I've matured. You've done a fine job growing this labyrinth without me. It's time we make a name for ourselves, Jay. With this starting mana allowance, we'll break records. Oh, we'll break them all. Ember's eyes look determined, and that toothy grin is plastered across its face. I let out a sigh of relief. This is an exciting new development. After 2 weeks of brutal training, I finally hit another breakthrough. It just happens to be a pet dragon. Ember finds a comfortable place on the hard marble-like floor and closes its eyes. I'll be busy for a while. It was a pleasure meeting you. Now we must get to work. The miniature dragon's underbelly begins glowing red as it activates its mythic grade plunderer skill. I smile and nod while walking to the far end of the room. I'll be doing some training as well. I hope you don't mind the noise. Not a problem at all. The two of us go to separate corners of the long white room and begin a long day of work. I take my usual small ration of food and water but have a lot more energy today. The appearance of my new mana-plundering friend has boosted my sprints a lot. After 10 hours straight of charging, releasing, and resting, I managed to pull off 19 full attacks and hit a new personal best. With roughly 5350 MP in each blade, it takes about 40 seconds to achieve a full charge. It's not as time efficient as any of my previous attempts, but it's a huge step in the right direction. The large amounts of mana flowing through my system every day is beginning to seem much more natural. At first, it strained my joints and muscles a lot to continuously put them under such pressure. Now, it feels like my body is asking for more. A successful day has come to an end. Although I've improved, I'm still dead tired after training all day. I sluggishly walk over to my pile of loot, passing the tiny glowing dragon while it plunders mana from the surrounding area. I use Inspect before falling asleep. LV. I ponder the number in my head as I drift off. Ember has reached level 9. It did say the start would be slow. I guess I'll just have to wait the full 5 days to find out. The 4 remaining days pass pretty quickly. I'm starting to lose a lot of weight. It's beginning to become noticeable. If I had to guess, since I stepped into this death trap, I'm down almost 5 kg. Not thinking much about the things I can't control, my training continues. After 4 more long sessions, I managed to complete 83 full charges in total. The most successful attack has been a 10900 MP release. I managed it in under 40 seconds too. In between full charges, I've been testing out smaller attacks. My speed and control of finer mana movements have dramatically risen. I can charge my blades up to 800 MP each in less than a second. That's using nearly a full bar of my base MP. Just 3 weeks ago, a move like this would take me 3 to 5 seconds to pull off. Even though I'm training a specific attack to break this wall down, the high volumes of mana surging through my body on the daily have boosted my overall mana control to levels I didn't even know were possible. I've burned through over 2 million MP so far. This is more than most C-class hunters use in their full careers. I've been concentrating on one objective and training to succeed for just under 3 weeks now. I'm sure there's a better way to learn this mana control technique, but there isn't exactly anyone to teach me their ways in here. So, my brute force methods will have to do. My wind blade attack is nearly transparent now. The only way for me to catch a glimpse of its aura is by using a perception skill. Also, when it makes contact with the wall, it detonates into a silver and white mana-rich display. My fire has also become much darker and even more refined. The blackened flames rip through the mana-dense environment, leaving a trail of wavering air behind it. Every time it hits the white wall, bright red flames seep out looking for prey to burn. My attacks have evolved with my training. I can tell they're getting more and more deadly with every strike I throw, but I still haven't managed to make even a mark on the white walls surrounding me. My hope sits in the corner of the room, giving off a faint red glow. I sleep well tonight, knowing Ember will wake up soon. I've been making a mental note of his progression at the end of each day. Day 1, LV. Day 2, LV. 23. Day 3, LV. 40. Day 4, ELV. 61. Day 5, ELV. 94. By the time I wake up tomorrow, Ember's first rank-up process will be complete. I close my eyes and sleep peacefully. Although this has been hard, there is still a light at the end of the tunnel. I will find a way to leave the Titan's domain. Many hours pass as I dream of the outside world. At first, I dream of fun adventurers and running free. Sadly, they slowly twist into the skewed reality my subconscious weaves into my conscious mind. The people in my dreams are actually in the outside world. I am not. Maria and the others must be worried sick. Or maybe it's even worse, maybe they've given up trying to find me altogether. What if I'm a wanted man by the association once I make it out? What if? My restless sleep goes on for the entire night. I twist and turn as my sore bones and muscles desperately try to heal themselves. My stomach growls and my mouth is dry. Even sleeping is starting to get really uncomfortable. Nevertheless, I make it through the night, managing a few hours of decent sleep. I'm awoken by a light pin prick on my leg. Startled, I take a sudden leap backward, my head shaking and my hands instinctively rubbing my eyes. As my vision clears, I see a long, dark tail with hues of red, slowly slithering away from my lower body. Letting out a sigh, I smile and reply while activating telepathy and letting my eyes adjust to the light. Good morning to you too. In front of me stands a level 100 dragon just over 2.5 meters tall. Stretching nearly 4 meters from nose to tail, its glossy black scales appear even darker, contrasting against its vibrant crimson underbelly. 2 long red horns jut out from its forehead, mirroring the luster of its captivating eyes. Through our telepathic connection, the creature speaks, its voice resonating with more power and wisdom than before. Master, my rank-up is complete. Are there any updates on the state of our labyrinth? Chapter 135. I stare straight ahead at the newly ranked-up dragon in front of me. Just yesterday it was no more than half my size. Now it's easily double. I grin and reply, Ember, I'm glad your rank-up went as planned. There have not been any changes. Our labyrinth is running smoothly. The jet-black glimmering dragon begins to move around. The creature's speed has undergone a dramatic increase, while its finely honed cat-like agility remains as graceful and fluid as ever. The large monster glides through my piles of loot, circling me 2 times, then flapping its wings and lifting off into the air. It hovers 10 m above me for a moment, then glides back to the ground. Very well. If there is nothing new to report, I will begin my next rank-up. This shouldn't take more than 6 months. Please take care of the place while I'm under. I almost choke on my own tongue as I audibly gulp before replying through our telepathic link. Did you say 6 months? Half a year? It's going to take that long. The medium-sized dragon smiles at me, showing off its razor-sharp, bone-white set-up teeth. It's great, isn't it? Only 6 months and I'll already be at level 250. Having such a mana-dense labyrinth is a lucky find. With readings like these, it's almost like we're in a void creeper's domain. I haven't seen one of those disgusting creatures in a while. The last one I saw was before we even found this human realm. Those were the good old days, weren't they? With a puzzled stare, I try to piece together this monster's babbling. There's one thing I'm certain of, 6 months is not going to cut it. With my current food and water supplies, I'll be lucky if I last another week. I reply, actually, there's been a change of plans. I completely forgot. The humans sent a series of raids into the labyrinth while you were out. I didn't bother mentioning it earlier because they were far too weak to pay any mind. Ember's eyes perk up. I continue. With that being said, your MP plundering allowance has risen. How much will you need to hit level 250? Is it considerably more than your first? I'll need close to 10 million MP to rank up again. I nod, noting this very large increase. I'll need to make reasonable but also take into account my own urgency for time. I swallow hard, then reply. 1 week. Try to get your next rank up done within a week. Master, I mean Jay, please consider your own safety. plundering this much MP from even the largest of labyrinths would surely lead to a catastrophic collapse if done so abruptly. Sure, more monsters would invade the human realm, but it would be at the expense of another demon. That demon being you. I let out an exhale. I understand. This is an order. You will plunder 1.5 million MP per day. Rank up within the week. A sly grin comes across the dragon's face again. As you wish. It's your funeral. I give the black-scaled, crimson-glowing creature a firm nod. Ember folds itself up into a ball once again and starts to harvest the mana all around it. With this, I get back to work as well. My next long week of training begins. The words said by the dragon before its slumber stuck in my head, though. Something about void creepers. Could they have some correlation with the Titans? Also, Ember mentioned the good old days before we found the human realm. The more I think about it, the more my mind races to connect with this newfound information. It all makes sense. I just don't want it to. Gates appeared about 80 years ago. The Great War was roughly 50 years ago. It said that there were massive breaks and monsters roaming free, terrorizing humans on both of these occasions. Other known terms for these two events are the Arrival and the Great Subjugation. This is how the Hunters Association became the unspoken world rulers. Only when strong hunters formed teams under a unified law did the world become peaceful again. We have the Hunters Association to thank for that. From an outsider's perspective, it seems like the association leaders are just money-hungry nobles that seized power at an opportune time. The higher-ups may be this by definition to an extent, but they are here for the greater good. I think, from everything I've heard about the labyrinths and breaks from the association side, and now from the perspective of a monster, things are starting to become a bit more clear to me. This is a worldwide power struggle, and I'm just scratching the surface on the juicy details. Humans against the monsters. But why? What's all this mana hoarding and excessive leveling even good for? What's the ultimate goal here? I'm still unsure what either side is fighting for. In time, I hope some of these questions become easier to answer. It seems I've stumbled upon an interesting new path of potential knowledge. I'm going to see how far it takes me one step at a time. Deep in thought, over the next 7 days I continue to train. My attacks get more and more refined, and my ability to absorb mana gets faster and faster. Although it seems I've hit my limit on the amount of mana my blades can handle, roughly 11,000 MP in just under 40 seconds, I've discovered an even better way to train. The more mana that runs through my body, the faster and more efficiently I can filter and control it. At the beginning of this new training cycle, charging up to about 2,000 MP per blade for a 4,000 MP total takes me roughly 2 seconds. My weapons hardly shake, and the backlash on my hands, muscles, and joints is minimal compared to my previous extreme sessions. I'm able to repeat this process many more times. Doing an attack at 1/3 full power is much easier on my body than going all out. This is just common sense. For every 2 seconds used for charging and releasing attacks, I only need a few minutes to regain my full composure. Using 8-hour training windows, I'm able to charge and release up to 20 attacks per hour. That's 160 per day. On average, I'm running through 640,000 MP. My daily output has grown significantly. By the end of the week, I've nearly added 4.5 million points to my total mana usage. This is twice as much as all 3 previous weeks combined. By the end of these 7 days, I'm able to charge up these 2,000 MP attacks in just under 1 second. My plundering efficiency and speed have increased too. The density and pureness of each attack get closer and closer to a perfect strike every time I throw one at the wall. The metallic twang of a 4,000 MP attack at the end of these 7 days is comparable to the vibrations of a full-powered 11,000 MP attack at the beginning of the week. I'm making so much progress, yet the wall still hasn't shown any signs of weakness. That is, until the last day. Using my newfound mana density and purity control, I decided to try for one more ultimate attack on a whim. I've been practicing all week with 4,000 MP, so I'm sure an 11,000 MP strike will feel great as a final attack for the day. I charge up like normal, bringing both blades up to 5,500 MP each. They vibrate and glow, but I'm able to handle them with much greater ease. Takes less than 30 seconds, and I can tell this will be an enormous strike. The mana itself isn't becoming more powerful. It's the density of the energy released that adds to its efficiency. The high amounts of mana running through my bloodstream over the last few weeks have given me much greater control over their movements within my body and within my blades. After taking a deep breath and aiming for the solid white wall, I let out a yell and released 2 crescents of highly refined mana. They slice through the air with astonishing precision. The air blade is completely invisible, and the fire is so dark it looks like a shadow flying through the air. With a resounding twang that echoes throughout the room, the 2 crescents of energy collide with the wall, producing a deafening noise and causing the ground to tremble. I grit my teeth and brace myself as the massive explosion of white and red magic expands and covers the back wall of this white room. When the residue clears, the first genuine smile of this entire month grows across my face. The blank white wall in front of me is cracked. A way out. I stand firmly, arms by my sides, gripping my blades tightly, and gaze in awe at the magnificent sight unfolding before me. A 1m long crack in the white wall starts to leak with black energy. It hums violently like the void I was sucked into at the start of all this madness. I activate my all-seeing eye to confirm my theory, and it's immediately confirmed. I feel the seemingly endless twisting void connect with this small white-walled pocket dimension through the tiny tear in space. Using Plunderer and my newfound aptitude for increased mana consumption, I push the limits of my perception ability. Burning through thousands of MP in an instant, I extend my range deep into the void. For 10 seconds straight, until my fatigue begins to bring me to my knees, I push myself as far as I can go. This is the moment I've been training for. I have to find something useful. Deep within the void, I see another tiny white light. I clench my jaw and keep pushing my range. There's something out there. Something is in this void other than me. There's really a way out of the Titan's domain. The moment I make this connection is the moment I lose it as well. The meter-long crack running along the white wall in front of me begins to shrink. The black swirling void begins to disappear from my mind's eye as the wall somehow heals itself entirely. Seconds later, my all-seeing eye is useless. The white wall looks completely unscathed, and I can no longer sense the void at all. I slump over and let out a sigh. It's a little disheartening to see the wall heal itself in front of my eyes, but at least I've made some progress. My training may just be useless in the end, but at least it's keeping my mind busy. Without a goal or challenge in this white-walled prison, I'd surely have gone insane by now. My food and water supply lessens with each day that passes. I only have 1.5 kilograms of jerky left, and I've eaten my last ration of dried fruit. There are only 6 bottles of water left, and it's starting to really worry me. I could finish all of this in one sitting, but I have to continue rationing it out indefinitely. I've lost nearly 7 kilograms. My cheeks are starting to show signs of caving in, and my abs are visible. At this rate, my ribs are next. Ember glows brighter and brighter as he continues to level up. I make a mental log of his constant progression at the end of each day. Day 1, LV. 133. Day 2, LV. 174. Day 3, LV. 207. Day 4, ELV. 224. Day 5, ELV. 236. Day 6, LV. 242. Day 7, LV. 247. The monster's leveling speed decreases as it rises higher and higher. This is much different from its last rank up. For its first 5 days of mana consumption to rise from level 2 to 100, it took no more than 500 KMP in total. I gave it an allowance of 1.5 million MP per day this time around, and on its final day, Ember only rose 5 levels. That's an average of 300 KMP per level on the final day, and it's only becoming more and more costly. I fall asleep on the 7th night satisfied with my week's worth of training. I'm eager to see what Ember's new form will look like after this rank up. Many hours pass. My dreams of the outside world seem to just drift by as well. I've embraced the fact that whatever happens here just happens. All I can do is continue what I started. I'm trying my hardest every day, training to exhaustion, and staying alive. If I make it out to see everyone again, I'll deal with those consequences when the time comes. A sudden jab in my side wakes me from my slumber. I don't flinch, nor do I immediately open my eyes. This kind of wake-up call was anticipated. I activate my telepathic link while stretching and slowly adjusting to the blinding morning light of the white walls. Good morning, Ember. How was your O-dash? As soon as my vision clears up, I see a majestic form in front of me. At over 4 m tall while sitting down, and easily 7 m from head to the tip of his long twisting tail, Ember spreads his wings and replies. It seems our labyrinth has not collapsed. You were right. I shouldn't have doubted your judgment. The radiant black-scaled dragon lowers its head, directing attention toward its long crimson horns. Upon closer inspection, I notice that they're made of a material similar to a demon's horn. The dragon's deep red eyes are the size of my open palms. It blinks at me a few times, then continues to speak through our link. Are there any updates? Or shall I begin my next rank up? Chapter 136. There are no major updates. You'll be able to rank up again soon if you wish. After my reply, I'm left wide-eyed staring at the huge creature before me. I thought the dragon's last form was impressive, but this one is on another level. If my predictions are correct, my ticket out of this Titan's domain is about to show itself. The rate of Ember's mana plundering is only increasing in speed. If anyone can absorb and collapse an endless void of energy, it'd be him. I grin to myself, then look up at the majestic black dragon. A few questions have been lingering in my head this whole week, and a few more ever since my breakthrough in training last night. Now would be the time to ask them before Ember goes back to sleep. I have a few questions. Of course, please ask as many as you'd like, Master. Ember makes himself comfortable, laying in a neat ball resting against a white wall. I nod firmly, ignoring the fact that he called me Master again, and begin my questioning. First of all, how much mana will you need to achieve your next rank up? Usually, the third one is the toughest. Even with a medium-sized labyrinth, a dragon with mythic-grade proficiency like me would still take decades to achieve this feat. I've only hit the third evolution a couple of times in my many lives. It's a level 500 threshold. Roughly 25 billion MP is needed. My eyes open wide as I try to do the mental calculations. He'll need to plunder billions of MP a day to achieve this. That's thousands of times more than the previous week. If I want to get out of here before my food supply runs out, I have two options. I'll either need to make a lot more progress on my mana control to open up this white box myself, or Ember is going to have to rank up again. Both are a gamble, and neither has any guarantees to help me one bit. I guess my odds will be better if I try to achieve both. I ask my next question. You mentioned void creepers. What are those? Ember smirks and raises his head, then settles back into a comfortable position before responding. Void creepers? They're just pesky mindless world hoppers that live between realms. I've only witnessed one of their forms, a form similar to humans actually. The elders used to call them Titans. They have access to immense mana pools stored over long periods of time. It's not necessarily their mana, they just exist in it. Any creatures that come within range of those things are swallowed up whole in an instant, never to be seen again, absorbed into their void as more fuel. Their only true enemies are dragons. Or, in theory, a slime if it could level up high enough. With enough time, a dragon like myself can plunder any pool of MP no matter the size. A wide grin stretches across my face. A void creeper is just another name for a titan. Well, to put it more accurately, I guess a titan is a type of void creeper. Ember continues. I've heard of dragons ranking up multiple times from one void creeper encounter. Looking at the blissfully unaware dragon spew, valuable information starts pulling at my heartstrings. It's about time I let Ember in on a few of my secrets. I let out a sigh, then look straight into the majestic dragon's deep red eyes. Hey, can I trust you? The black-scaled creature twists its head to the side, looking at me curiously while waving its long thin arrow-tipped tail around aimlessly in the air. Of course, We're contracted. That's the highest form of trust a demon and dragon can share. I gulp. Is that right? Could you explain to me exactly how this contract works? I'm pretty new to all of this. Certainly. A demon and dragon may create a sacred alliance to protect a growing labyrinth. A demon is tied to its realm and has a duty to expand its territory. A dragon is obligated to plunder mana and bring it back to the rulers once their life has run its course. A contract between the two links their lives in many ways. If one dies, the other does too. If one gains EXP, so does their counterpart. It is a perfect partnership for any two like-minded monsters, wouldn't you say so? I would say so. Is that all? Have you ever left a labyrinth? Of course not. It is a dragon's duty to protect their domain. If I were to do so, that would put my demon at great risk. I nod slowly while staring down at the ground. I'm contracted to a dragon. It must be the demon's core I absorbed. That's why I'm able to fulfill its alliance contract. I'm bonded to a dragon. Until death? After a long pause, I look back up at Ember and decide to tell him the truth. If this is going to work out long-term, I'll have to tell him everything. There's no easy way to say this, but I guess I'll have to start somewhere. I'm actually a human. The room falls completely silent. The dragon's tail stops waving back and forth, and its crimson eyes lock on me with a stare that pierces my soul. First, it's skeptical. Then, Ember's gaze grows intense as his eyelids tighten. Finally, curiosity wins the battle of emotions. The dragon replies, "Now, this is new." A wide grin grows across the monster's face as I continue. I've absorbed a demon's core and, well, stole the egg from a labyrinth's boss room. I thought it was a gemstone or energy-rich core. Apparently, I was wrong. It was a dragon's egg. The grin across Ember's face widens even more as he lets out a bellowing laugh through our telepathy link. You have got to kidding me. No wonder this labyrinth felt so weird. There are always different variations depending on the demon's preferences, but I guess this is what happens when a human takes over. Ha! Oh, this life just keeps getting better. With my luck, we're not even in a labyrinth at all. This is just a void creeper's endless mana pool. Now, wouldn't that be something? The bellowing dragon continues to laugh and even begins flapping its wings, hovering a few meters off the ground while looking down at me. I whisper in a low tone through the telepathy link. I think it is. This is a Titan's domain, if I'm not mistaken. Ember stops hovering instantly and hits the hard white ground with a thud while staring at me wide-eyed. He looks around the white room and begins feeling the walls with its tail and sharp claws. How? Did I get so lucky? I knew you were a special one, Jay. This is my favorite contract yet, and it hasn't even been 100 years. I might actually hit the 3rd rank in a matter of weeks. Now, wouldn't that be something? Letting out laughs of joy, the dragon spreads its jet black wings to show off the glowing red underside, then jumps up high into the air. This small room is rather limiting for the massive beast, but it still manages to do a few laps while erupting into flames. Its fire is dark red just like mine. The point where it leaves Ember's mouth, it is almost pure black, a very similar color to the dense energy that comes out of my sword. It is a dragon, after all. Its mana control is probably even better than mine. I still have so many questions to ask, but I should let the majestic creature enjoy itself. This reaction is much better than him getting mad and eating me alive. I cross my arms and watch the flames dance and the dragon soar. After a solid 20 minutes of celebration, the 7-meter-long fire-breathing monster finally settles down and comes back to greet me. Well, I've gotten that out of my system. Now let's get down to business. I smirk and nod firmly. So, now that we're on the same page, how do we get out of this prison? We'll have to weaken it, then tear a hole right through. A void creeper's realm is one of the weakest because technically it's not a realm at all, it's just between two others. Ember claws at a white wall, then lets out a dense ball of flames. It bounces off without leaving a scratch. The dragon nods slowly while looking back over to me. In this form and this level, I have no way of breaking through. I'll need to rank up again. That's the only way I'll be able to absorb enough mana to weaken this prison and have a fighting chance at denting this barrier at all. I think back to my final attack last night. I managed to make a small tear in the white wall when I condensed enough mana and released it all at once. If the realm is weakened, and I can increase my attack strength even more, this could work. How much MP can you absorb without a day allowance limiter? The dragon begins curling up into a ball. I'll have to start where I left off. A few million a day will be my limit in the beginning, but without fear of a labyrinth collapsing, I can go all out. My rate of absorption will increase as my levels rise. I believe a rank up is possible in just a few weeks. I take a deep breath while accounting for my food supplies and past training progression. It'll be brutal, but 1 or 2 more weeks in here is possible. I just have to make my 1.5 kilograms of jerky and 6 bottles of water last. I'll be in critical condition, but with my self-regeneration skill and a few HP potions, I can keep myself alive as long as I have mana. It just won't be pretty. I'm down about 7 kilograms in total and still dropping fast. I reply with a thin smile. Perfect. Rank up as fast as you can. I'll have a plan ready when you awake. Understood. Ember closes his eyes and begins to glow with a faint red light. I turn to the opposite side of the room and grab my blades. My final training session is about to begin. Chapter 137. In my last training session, lowering the amount of MP per charge increased my progress to a surprising degree. Handling lower amounts of mana is much easier to control and is more realistic in the long run after all. To raise my mana control proficiency, the total amount of consumed mana over time seems to be more of a determining factor than the amount I can muster per attack. As levels increase, they bring forth improved overall stats in all categories. However, I'm finding that the refinement of mana requires a higher level of control and experience to master. While raw power may grow with leveling up, the true potential of this new power is becoming more clear to me with every passing day. I wonder if B and A-class hunters normally practice their mana control. Doing so without a plundering ability would cost a fortune. I'm burning through hundreds of gold worth of MP. Even for an elite hunter, this would be impossible to train consistently. Right? I decide to create the 1-second rule. Every day I train for 8 hours. I charge up for 1 full second with as much MP as physically possible, then release it all and rest for 2 to 4 full minutes. On day 1, I'm able to charge 2000 MP into each blade in just under 1 second. The progression is slow, but the results pay off in the end. It's a brutal process, but I managed to average over 750k MP usage per day by the end of the week. My rate of control increases quite a bit. In just 1 second, I'm able to hold 2750 MP in each blade. Anything under 1000 MP per blade can be charged while I swing. The attacks are deadly projectiles charged almost instantaneously. At the end of each day, I test my progress with a fully charged attack. I still cap out at around 11,000 MP in total, but getting there is a lot faster. In just over 20 seconds, I can release this ultimate attack. After each strike, the tear in the pristine white wall grows, a testament to the progression of my attack. Despite the damage inflicted, the wall heals itself in an instant each time, leaving no trace of my assaults. Its smooth surface remains unscathed, taunting my efforts. At the end of day 7, the final tear looks wide enough for me to squeeze through if I tried. It's just over 2m high and a little under half a meter across. I'm getting dangerously low on food and water. My jerky is at 0.5 kilograms and my water is down to 3 bottles. Ember has been progressing slowly. I've made a mental note of his progress at the end of each passing day. Day 1, LV 253. Day 2, LV 260. Day 3, LV 269. Day 4, ELV 281. Day 5, ELV 293. Day 6, LV 306. Day 7, LV 322. His levels are going up faster every day. It seems the rate of absorption is slowly rising. I just have to hang on a little longer. I've gotten to the point where I'm not even hungry anymore. I just wake up, train, go to sleep, then do it again. My 1-second charge capabilities have risen to 3500 MP per blade, and my full power strikes can be charged up to 12,500 and released in under 15 seconds. This may seem like a dramatic jump in just 3 days, but there's an interesting explanation as to why. The crimson glow around Ember has become much stronger. The air, ground, walls, and ceiling around the resting dragon hum loudly as it continues to absorb MP and level up. End of day 8. LV. 339. Anytime I get within a 10m radius of the slumbering beast, my own mana begins to be sucked into the growing red aura. End of day 9. LV. 357. My stash of mana crystals gets accidentally absorbed in its large plundering radius today. I throw all my loot into my item storage for safekeeping. This is the day I eat my last bite of food. I've completely run out. I have a bottle and a half of water remaining, but it's not looking good. Beginning of day 10. Today is the day when everything changes. I wake up to a familiar ringing sound in my head. Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. While rubbing my eyes and standing to my feet, I open my status to realize I've leveled up 3 times overnight. Somehow, I'm level 362 now. It's odd, but with my tired mind, starving body, and singular goal, I decide not to think much of it and get back to work. Walking past Ember, the aura around its body is nearly 20 m in diameter. It emanates a deep crimson hue, pulsating with intensity and filling the air with a loud hum. The floor beneath us quakes with a violent rumble. I use Inspect to check on its progress. LV. 362. Odd, it's exactly the same level as me. During my training today, I hear the level up sound go off in my head over and over again. Level up, 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 level up. It goes off 15 more times, in fact. My maximum mana reserves have risen because of the pure stat-based boosts, and my swords have leveled up a good amount too. I check my status. I can hardly believe the number that floats at the top of the blue screen. LV. 377. I'm exhausted from my long day of training without a single but to eat. I'm on my last 1-liter bottle of water, and dreading the day it runs out. My final test of strength goes very well. The 12500 MP strike rips a 5m long and 2m wide tear in the white wall. It stays open for almost 30 seconds before sealing completely. My mind is fuzzy and my body is weak. As I fall asleep, a few words the dragon said about our contract repeat in my head as I drift off into a peaceful slumber. If one dies, the other does too. If one gains EXP, so does their counterpart. It is a perfect partnership for any two like-minded monsters, wouldn't you say so? The connection in my foggy, nutrient-deprived brain finally clicks. The reason for my accelerated level growth becomes clear. I am actually sharing Ember's experience gains. As I drift off, a faint smile tugs at the corners of my lips. Even though I'm on the opposite side of the white-walled prison, the rumbling and intense humming of the black-scaled dragon's mythic-grade plundering skill reaches my ears. It's a reassuring reminder of the strong companion that now stands by my side. My dehydration and mental exhaustion are pushing me to my absolute limits. My lips are cracked, my joints aching, and my hair starting to fall out. No amount of self-regeneration is helping at this point. The hard ground is getting comfortable, the hot dry air is oddly soothing, and the lack of food and water hardly bothers me. All I'm focused on is finishing my mission. Hours later, I'm woken up by more level up, ringing noises. Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. I gained another 7 levels in my sleep. I'm at 384 now. Status open. Name, J. Soch. Level 384. HP 1925/1925. MP 320/1925. Strength 945 plus 954 plus 652 plus 473. Speed 1112 plus 667 plus 556. Agility 1211 plus 545 plus 836 plus 606. Defense 835 plus 334 plus 418. Mental strength 945 plus 567 plus 378 plus 425 plus 662 plus 491 plus 473. Skills: absorption, special grade, swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, special grade, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, telepathy, legendary grade, items equipped, High Ogre King's Ring, plus 60% mental strength, Cyclops Eye Pendant, plus 40% defense, Dark Elf Boots, plus 60% speed, Griffin's Talon, plus 40% mental strength, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% mental strength, the Flame Emperor's Sword, Fire Aspect, plus 101% strength, plus 70% mental strength, the Wind Tyrant's Dagger Set, Wind Aspect, plus 69% strength, plus 69% agility, plus 52% mental strength, Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats, Lenses of Illusion, At this rate, I'll be a B-class in just a few more days. I gained 20 levels yesterday and 7 while sleeping. If I can survive this trial, I'll be a B-class just mere weeks after my C-class exams. Today, as I do my morning ritual of rubbing my dry eyes, stretching my poor arms and back, then slowly standing to my feet, I realize my MP bar is nearly at 0. A red tint fills my vision and the ground beneath my feet reverberates with a powerful hum. I look over to the far side of the rectangular white-walled room to see Ember bathed in an aura of intense, dark red energy. The surroundings seem to bend and warp under the sheer pressure of the dragon's skill. I step closer and the hum gets louder. Every echoing footstep I take toward the rapidly leveling dragon sucks more and more MP from my body. I'm easily able to plunder my way back up to full, but it's still an odd sensation. At 50 MOA, the ground isn't just humming anymore. It's rattling, making it hard to stand up straight without concentrating on my balance. At 20 MOA, it's a whole different story. The crimson veil around the creature is so dense that if I didn't have an MP plundering skill myself, along with the intense training these past few weeks, I'd be sucked dry of mana in an instant. The floor shakes and moves violently at this distance. It's very difficult to stay upright. Determined, I tighten my jaw and decide not to go in any further. I understand that by keeping my distance and focusing on my training, this ordeal will be over soon. Based on my foggy-brained calculations, Ember has the potential to achieve a rank up within the next 5 days, given his current rate of progress. My primary goal here is to endure and survive. Just a little longer. Chapter 138. I make my way back over to the more peaceful, less ground-shaking side of the white-walled rectangular prison. My training for today begins but ends shortly after. I only manage to get 3 hours in. My bones are aching, my mouth is dry, and the muscle fatigue is becoming overwhelming. I have under a liter of water left. The only progress made today is thanks to my rise in levels. In the last 3 hours, I've gained another 4, bringing me up to level 388. Over the last few weeks, I've managed to burn through just over 10 million MP. This is multiple times the amount most D or C-class hunters will ever use in their entire lives. The risk-to-reward ratio of training my mana control any further is not worth it. Before I entered this void prison, I didn't even know refining one's mana was possible. My attacks have become close to 5 times as dense, hence 5 times as deadly with the same MP output. My blade's total holding capacity has grown almost 2 times. With the near-unlimited stores along with my sentient weapons, I'm able to charge and release attacks up to 6 times my full MP bar. Taking all the factors into consideration, a full-strength attack within these walls is up to 30 times as effective as it was just a few weeks ago. My rising levels are continuously adding to that number as well. I test out an ultimate attack to end the 11th day of this training cycle. Focusing my mana and gripping my rattling blades, I unleash 2 magnificent attacks. The first is a thin shining black blade and the second is a transparent crescent of wind. The combined power of these strikes amounts to nearly 13,000 refined MP. My energy collides with the white man barrier, letting out a metallic twang, then ripping through my prison's wall. A massive 10m high, 3m wide tear in space opens as the 2 crescents of expanding white wind and crimson flames continue to soar through the black void behind the wall. I grin while dropping to my knees, preparing to sleep after my short yet effective day of training. While my eyes shut, I activate my all-seeing eye to monitor the progress like usual. I would typically gasp in shock at the astounding results, but my weary body and mind are too fatigued to muster a reaction. Drifting off to sleep, I witness the 2 powerful energy waves tearing through the outer wall of the apparently not-so-endless black void. A small portion of my attack manages to break free from the confines of the Titan's domain, escaping into the outside world. I've managed to find the outer edge. I close my eyes and sleep for hours, but am rudely awakened by the sensation of a vibrating floor and my MP bar nearing 0 again. Standing to my feet while plundering my mana points back to full without much issue, I check my status. I've gained another 5 levels. I'm at 393 now, with the rumbling floor below me glowing a faint tint of red. I look over to see how Ember is doing. My jaw nearly drops to the floor as I take in the sight before my eyes. The crimson aura has doubled in size since I last examined it. I can barely make out an outline of the slumbering dragon. The walls around it look very distorted, almost as if the white-walled barrier around us is being completely absorbed. I gulp. If this box collapses in on itself, the only logical explanation I have would be that we would be floating through that endless black void outside. The unpleasant memory of falling through nothingness flashes through my head for a moment before I snap back to reality. Activating my all-seeing eye, I confirm my prior hypothesis to be correct almost immediately. The white-walled barrier between us and the outside void is slowly beginning to dissolve. The area nearest to the dragon is the weakest. It feels just like the tear in space that I create every time I release an ultimate attack. Ember is creating millions of micro-tears as he absorbs more and more mana from the surrounding area. Over the last day or so, the rate of absorption has grown to become slightly higher than the rate of this barrier's recovery. Slowly and steadily, these white walls will be torn away. Then we'll have to face the void. I shudder, staring down at my 500 milliliters of water remaining. If I were to fly out into the endless void, what would happen? How long would it take for Ember to plunder every last drop of MP in this realm between realms? Would this be enough to sustain me? I let out a sigh while deactivating my perception skill. It's probably a better idea for me to think of a quicker way out than to sit and ponder questions I have no way of finding the answer to. Gritting my teeth and nodding with a motivated grunt, I've decided to attempt an ultimate strike with all of my available MP once per hour. My body is too weak to continue intense spurts of mana control training. The fastest and most efficient way for me to get stronger is to just sit in place and level up with the help of Ember's EXP link. Every hour, for 4 more hours, I do exactly as I've planned. I release waves of energy at the white wall and they cut through the empty void, slicing the back wall each time. I've gained 5 more levels, bringing me to level 398, but the progress has slowed. I'm able to penetrate the back wall of the black void, but the white walls heal completely before I have a chance to ever send a second attack through. The rise in levels has increased my MP output slightly as well. Every little bit counts. After these strikes, I'm thoroughly exhausted. My biggest fear has also come true. I'm completely out of food and water. Those last drops were necessary to continue my futile full power slashing attempts. Ember's aura has grown so wide that even at the far side of the room, I'm partially engulfed in its red tint. The only way I'm able to see or sense the dragon is by using my all-seeing eye. It's completely covered in a blood-red veil of light. The area of white walls surrounding it is dissolving at an alarming rate, growing more transparent every second. My head aches, my lips crack, and my joints cry out in pain as I collapse and fall asleep once again. I'll have one more chance to find a way out when I wake up. If I fail tomorrow, then I'm as good as dead. The rumbling floor, loud humming, and drifting red cloud of aura fade off into the back of my consciousness as I drift off to sleep. Many hours go by again, and I'm awoken by the dinging sound of level up notifications in my head. The floor beneath me is violently moving up and down. The metallic hum of mana fills my ears, and my vision is completely clouded by a murderous red tint. Opening my status, I see I've gained 6 more levels while I was out. Level 404. I activate my all-seeing eye, fearing what will show up in my vision. For a moment, I don't move a muscle. Ember's presence is nearby, but I can't say the same for most of the walls in this room. I'm not sure I can even call it a room by definition anymore. The only white barrier-like walls I can sense are on my backside, and in front of me for about 10 meters at most. The rest of this ominous floating prison has been completely dissolved and absorbed by the sleeping dragon nearly 100 meters away. If the thick red aura blocking my vision wasn't present, I would be staring out into an endless black void. The MP in my status is completely drained. I'm able to replenish it, but if I'm not constantly plundering MP, it drops rather quickly. This is insane. I grip both of my weapons tight and prepare for the attack that I've been putting off until this very moment. So far, all of my full power strikes have been aimed at the white wall on the far side of the room, as far away from Ember as possible. I didn't want to disrupt his rank-up process. Now, it's a much different story. If I don't do something drastic, it'll be the end of me. I aim my blades at the wide-open void in front of me. It's all or nothing this time around. I'll give one more strike, every last bit of strength I have left in me. Closing my eyes and taking a deep break, I grip my blades tightly and begin plundering MP all around me. Every drop of mana that enters my body is refined, condensed, and imbued into my 2 weapons. After 15 seconds, I've already achieved a new record. In total, my blades have 14,000 MP stored between them, and I continue to push on. They glow with dark red and bright white light. The excess wind and fire magic around my 2 weapons rips away at the frail skin on my hands and arms. Just 10 more seconds pass and I manage to squeeze in another 2,000 MP. The joints in my fingers and wrists threaten to snap as I hold on with all my willpower remaining. Another 5 seconds go by, and I'm on my last leg. It feels like every cell in my body is screaming at me to stop as I continue to hold on and stand strong. A final 1,000 MP is stored in my blades, bringing the total to 17,000 MP. With a final yell of agony, I swing both blades across my body to let a reality-tearing attack. As each wave of energy emanates from my blades, my eyes roll back into my head, overwhelmed by instantaneous exhaustion and fatigue. Due to the repetitive tremendous strain on my body and mind, I lose consciousness and succumb to the depths of oblivion. With no limiting barrier to greatly decrease my attack power, the 2 curved blades of pure element-imbued refined mana rip through the darkness of the endless void with terrifying speed. In seconds, they collide with the outer wall of the Void Creeper's realm, slicing through it like a skilled surgeon's scalpel. An enormous tear opens up in the back wall, growing in size as the two crescents of energy detonate on impact. They collide with foreign mass outside of this realm, compounding their explosive power. This destructive force shakes the walls of the entire Titan's domain as the tear in space grows exponentially larger. The red aura of embers rank up seeps out deeper into the void, finding the path of least resistance. That path being the only way back to the outside world. The tear rapidly expands as the dragon continues to absorb its surrounding. I float out into the empty void as the last remaining bits of the white walls disappear. In a brilliant flash of light, as the tear stretches to the length of the entire backside of the void, Ember's crimson aura continues to surge and expand. It overwhelms the near-infinite darkness, becoming the dominant energy in this realm between realms. Hours later, after lying unconscious on a hard surface, I open my eyes to see a small black gem about the size of a coin laying on the dry ground, peeking out from a patch of sun-bleached grass. I release the death grip on my blades, putting them into my item storage and picking up the odd shiny stone. Standing to my feet, I lick my dry lips and feel my caved-in stomach gurgle while taking in the beautiful view. A black and red dragon soars high in the sky over an endless horizon of rising and falling hills. A wide grin creeps across my face. I've made it back to the Great Plains. Chapter 139. I stand in the middle of the Great Plains dungeon, rolling the black coin-sized gem around in my right hand while watching Ember flap his wings high above me. This must be a strengthening fragment. I turn my head to see a massive crater on the dungeon's floor. It stretches nearly 50 m in diameter, and the debris is scattered even further away on all sides. This is where I knocked down that Titan and fell into its domain almost a full month ago. Seems like in the end, I won the battle and made it back in one piece. Activating my telepathy skill, I call out to the shimmering jet-black dragon in the sky. It descends gracefully through the air to greet me. "Jay, you've awoken." Ember hits the ground with a light thud, sitting obediently with his head held high and long tail waving behind him. I look the creature up and down curiously for a moment. It doesn't look like he's changed at all. The third rank up must have ended with an incomplete result. "It seems you haven't evolved any further." "That's correct. Once the Titan's domain couldn't handle my absorption rate, along with the attack you threw to disrupt the connection between realms, I was forced awake. We were thrown back into this dungeon hours ago, right after the Void Creeper's link was severed from its pocket dimension. You've been unconscious ever since." I smile. This reunion is nice and all, but I need food, water, and rest. My dry lips and caved-in stomach can't take it much longer. I've lost almost 12 kilograms over the last month. I struggle to stay on my feet as I reply. "I need to leave this dungeon and heal up from our ordeal. It may be your first time contracted to a human, but I assume you realize things are going to be a lot different this time around. We don't have a labyrinth to protect, so you'll have to serve me in a much different way than a demon." Ember bows his head as I continue. "No one can know you're here. Of course, humans are quite troublesome creatures. If they were to see me in their realm, I meant troublesome in a dash." I chuckle out loud. "I agree. Humans are a bit troublesome, aren't they?" Coughing while activating my perception skills while preparing my dungeon walker ability, I continue. "Stay at the back of this dungeon and don't come out for any reason. I'll be back as soon as possible with a plan for us to leave when I have a clearer head. It shouldn't take more than a few days. No attacking monsters or hunters while I'm gone. If you die, I die. Got it?" "Understood. I've waited decades to come back to this realm. A few days is nothing to me." With a majestic flap of his wings, the 7-m-long black-scaled dragon shows off its crimson underbelly as it flies into the open sky. With a thin smile, I teleport away. I decide to go back to the Alpine Starter dungeon. It's a last-second decision, but the thought of walking through the dungeon hub and all the way through the capital seems like a bad idea right now. Plus, I'd need to get a hotel room and everything. I might collapse before that happens. Going back to my hometown seems like the most logical move. I just hope my landlord isn't too mad. It's been well over a month since I've paid rent. Moments later, I find myself right next to the entrance of the blue-skied goblin dungeon I know so well. Luckily, It's the middle of the night once I step through the portal back to the outside world. The soft light of the moon shines down on me as I slowly walk toward the village market. I can see a few of the shop lights on from a distance. 1 or 2 24-hour stores will be open for sure. I was really hoping for a nice hot meal, but I guess this is just a blessing in disguise. I'll need to slowly rehydrate and feed myself at first anyways. A full plate of food would have been suicide if I tried to scarf one of those down. My mouth waters and my body shakes at the thought of real food and cold liquids after so long in that white-walled jail cell. I walk into the first convenience store I see to grab a few fresh fruits, electrolyte drinks, and assorted nuts. It may seem bland, but to me it looks like a 9-course meal. Slowly sipping on one of the drinks, I make my way back to my apartment. My feet drag and a grunt comes out every few steps. The nutrients filling my body do make me feel slightly better, and some energy is returning for me so I can utilize my self-regeneration skill, but it's not helping much. In the dead of night, I finally make it back to my building, walk up the steps, and open the door to my apartment. Letting out a long sigh, I collapse onto my bed. Over the next few hours, I finish up a full bottle of electrolytes and scarf down the fresh fruit and nuts. I continuously regenerate my muscles and deteriorated flesh with my self-regeneration skill slowly building back some of my body mass. I fall into a deep sleep. Right now, this is the most comfortable bed in the world. I wake up the next morning to the rising sun feeling incredible, but still starving. Looking in the mirror as I get ready for the day, I can tell that I've lost a considerable amount of weight. Last night's refeed and regeneration session definitely added a few kilograms back to my frame, but I need a lot more mass to get back to my normal weight. I grab a few pairs of extra clothes and throw them in my item storage, then leave a handful of silver out on the floor with a note apologizing to my landlord, just in case he stops by and tries to evict me. I walk to a local breakfast spot and dig in. I start off slow but get my fill. I feel much better than I have in weeks. I'm able to put on a bit more weight, but am still easily 7 kilograms down from when I started this extravaganza. It'll take me a while to gain this last bit back. Thanking the waitress and leaving a considerable tip, I head off to the goblin dungeon filled with excitement and dread. Another odd sensation won't stop nagging at the back of my head since I woke up either. The feeling of near unlimited mana all around me is no more. I'm inching to be full of power again, but I suppress it for now. My heart pounds in my chest as I near Alpine Square. I'm heading back to the capital to see my teammates and check in with the Hunters Association. This could go so many different ways. I'll have to prepare for the worst. After stepping into the starter dungeon, I teleport to the Great Plains and step out of the portal immediately. I ride the train back to the main dungeon hub and take the moving stairs UPS to the surface. As I exit, one of the familiar-looking guards waves and smiles. "Welcome back. An all-nighter in a C-class dungeon. You've got guts, man." I give him a firm nod and smile while continuing my walk into town. The morning sun is rising steadily. It's just after 9 a.m. if I'm not mistaken, maybe closer to 10. As I make my way toward the Hunters Association HQ, I think about what that guard said to me. An all-nighter? What did he mean by that? He must be confusing me with someone else. Moving that thought to the back of my mind, I approach the association's tower at the center of the capital. The lobby's sliding door opens and I'm greeted immediately. Aries' smooth, low-toned voice rings out the moment I step into the building. "It's about time you showed up. We were about to leave without you." The tan-skinned archer has his hood up with Abby and Maria by his side. Trip stands close behind, pacing back and forth. Both the blonde and green-haired girls perk up as they see me, while Ari smirks with his arms crossed. A dash. We've been waiting here for almost an hour. You ditched us at the party yesterday to hunt and you slept in late this morning. You sure do know how to make a great first impression on the association. I blink a few times, staring at my teammates in awe. Ari just said I ditched them. Yesterday. My mind spins as I reply slowly. Sorry. I must have had a long night. I lost track of the time. With a loud gulp, I shift my gaze to the rest of my team. Maria laughs and points to the sliding doors that are about to close behind me. "Come on, let's go. You weren't even that late. It's fine." Maria's reassurance makes me feel a little better, but the absurdity of this situation is overwhelming. I smile and nod while turning to the door. In my head, the thoughts are running wild. The only explanation would be that time moves differently in whatever realm between realms I just survived an entire month in. Another connection clicks in my head. The spatial magic that I've been using as item storage has a similar effect. Whenever I put an item in there, time seems to stop. The realm that these titans create must work in the exact opposite way. Everything outside ceases to continue while time goes by for eternity in the void. Abby brushes my arm on the way out the door and looks up at me with a concerned look. You seem different today. Is everything okay? It even seems like you've lost some weight. I let out a sigh after a long pause. As I said, it was a long night. I'll be fine. Thanks for asking. Trip doesn't say a word to me, he just stays behind the four of us as we make our way back to the dungeon hub. This is not at all what I was expecting our reunion to be like today, but I don't think it could have gone any better. I'll just put this traumatic event behind me as a lesson learned. Maybe I'm not invincible. Or, maybe this just proves I am. A wide grin creeps across my face as we walk further into town. I stop at a street vendor selling D-class items and stock up on a gold's worth of mana crystals. It's about 10,000 MP worth. It's not even enough to charge one of my ultimate attacks with both daggers, but it will do for now. That room of free mana really spoiled me. I probably won't need to charge up any attacks like that again in the future, but if I ever want to continue my mana control training, I'm going to need a whole lot of gold to do so. We make it to the dungeon hub and greet the new guard on duty. We go down to the platform and enter the Great Plains no more than 10 minutes later. My teammates take in the view of the vast plains. Trip speaks up as we begin walking into the dungeon. All right, this is your first mission together as a team with the association. We won't be going too far in. Today will just be a trial run to make sure all of you are leveled enough and able to handle the base level mobs. If we have the time, we'll try for some mutants. We all nod and continue walking forward. I activate my enemy detection skill and sense a few monsters, but nothing out of the ordinary. Trip continues talking. There will be no reason to continue into this dungeon more than 10 kilometers. The potential for a Titan attack increases drastically after this point. Many lives have been lost by those creatures. Trust me, it is not worth the risk. I don't care how strong you think you are. New C-class hunters have no hopes of defeating one of those. Association elites even have trouble sometimes. Ari smirks and takes out his bow. I hope one shows up. These titans sure are getting a lot of hype. Maria and Abby excitedly draw their weapons. Yeah, I'm ready for a good fight. Bring it on. Trip looks over at all of us with a disappointing glare, but I keep my mouth shut. It's out of character for me, but I can't even fake being excited about fighting another one of those monstrosities. Our blonde-haired guide for the day takes out his silver daggers and points to the back of the dungeon, then speaks up in a firm tone. Kill yourselves on your own time. While training with me, you're not fighting one of those creatures. Got it? With shrugs, nods, and a few disappointed exhales, we all agree with Trip's order. The five of us venture off into the Great Plains dungeon for our official first day of association training. Chapter 140. After scolding us for being so enthusiastic about wanting to fight titans, the four of us quiet down a bit. Trip may have been a mood killer to some members of the group, but I completely understand where he's coming from. The blonde-haired dagger wielder is just looking out for us. He must have lost some teammates to one in the past, judging by his tone. As we carry on deeper into the dungeon, the base-level mobs begin to appear. I let Maria and Abby handle them. They're a bit more trigger-happy today than usual. They are both much more agile than the charging monstrous rhinos and have the perfect magic abilities to aid their fight. Frozen solid and skewered by stone, the charging beasts don't stand a chance against this duo. Ari and I decide to stand back and watch. The monsters are too low-level to gain any EXP. Engaging in battle with them would be more of a resource drain than a worthwhile fight. Trip realizes pretty quickly that all four of us are no normal newbie C-class group of recruits and strikes up a conversation as the girls battle it out with another beast. I heard from the director that your squad was going to be a special one. He told me both of you have some pretty rare abilities and rather unpredictable luck. He pauses for a moment, then continues. The old man stressed that you'd be a bunch of battle junkies with a death wish. I assumed you'd all be decent fighters, but had no idea you'd be able to fight off these mobs this easily. Ari grins. Oh, just wait until we see one of those mutants. I can't wait to go all out. I'm still pissed off at that examiner named Rodrigo. He wouldn't let me use my bow in our final boss fight. I could have definitely joined the action with you, Jay. I raise an eyebrow, remembering the 16th floor showdown that seemed like an eternity ago. To Ari, it was less than 2 days in the past. Oh yeah? You could have handled the boss. Yeah, easy. 1 arrow to the head and it would have been over dash. I laugh with a satisfied smirk, appreciating his confidence, but doubting his strength. Trip jumps in again. So, Jay, now that we're not under the lurking eyes and ears of the association, you have to tell me how you did it. How I did what? Trip's face curls into a goofy yet devious grin, like a little kid with a secret. You know, how you trained with me during the exam. I was on guard duty during the C-class exams. I've been thinking it over and over in my head like a madman. There's no plausible explanation. How could you have possibly been in the labyrinth and at the dungeon hub at the same time? I even looked in your records. The only skills you have logged are swordsmanship, dagger mastery, and your advanced fire summoning. Come on. You said you'd tell me, remember? I gulp, vaguely remembering the day I signed my contract with the association. I do recall Trip asking how I did it, and I brushed it off like it was nothing. Well, Ari lets out a laugh. Oh, you really used that thing? I thought you were saving that teleportation item for a rainy day. Don't tell me you actually used it in the exam between tests. The tan-skinned bow wielder continues to laugh. I crack a thin smile, deciding to go along with his nonsense. Well, I guess I just thought now or never, right? Magic items are meant to be used, aren't they? I crack another fake grin. Trip looks at me dumbfounded. You used a teleportation item to do a few hours of extra training during an exam? I scratch the back of my head and visually cringe. Next, I throw my hands up in the air, replying defensively. Hey, you were probably better off not knowing. Now you do. I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't tell anyone I wasted an item like that. All right? But how and where a teleportation dash? I'd rather not talk about it anymore. Okay? We continue walking in silence for a moment. I'm left wondering if Trip actually bought that excuse, or if he's just playing along to our obvious lies. An awkward amount of time goes by before Ari strikes up a random conversation about the Hunters Association hierarchy structure. I begin to zone out as their boring talk of numbers fills my ears. I watch Abby and Maria continue slaying beasts as we run into them on our way through the Great Plains. I'm just happy to be alive. It feels like I'm viewing all the events of today from above like an out-of-body experience. Maybe it's a defensive mechanism built in to deal with all of the excess stimulation my brain is taking in today. I did get pretty used to staring at white walls and focusing on a single task every single day. I let out a sigh. Simultaneously, Ari lightly elbows me in the gut. Hey, we're already 5 kilometers in, you know. Are you that confident you haven't even taken out a weapon? I shake myself out of my daydreams, then firmly nod a few times. Yeah, I'm sure they can handle it. I'll wait for the mutants to have my fun. You're thinking the same thing, aren't you? Ari grips his bow. Yeah, mutants or titans, whichever comes first, right? I gulp, then let out a few words in a shaky tone. Mutants are fine with me. Trip probably knows best. We shouldn't even joke about titans right now. There's a pause of silence. Then Trip laughs and puts an arm around my shoulder. I think that's the first intelligent thing that's come out of your mouth since I met ya. Hear that, Ari? Even this battle-crazed psycho that would waste a one-of-a-kind item for an adrenaline fix isn't dumb enough to fight a titan. Read a page out of his book. The bow wielder rolls his eyes. For the short time I've known Jay, I think I have a pretty good read on him. Wait until one of these things shows up. He'll be the first one into action. I reply in a soft tone as we continue forward. Yeah. After some more casual conversation and a whole lot of walking, a mutant finally shows up. I take out my sword and the four of us go in for an attack. My blade slices through the mutant like butter. Abby and Maria easily trap the beast in place with ice and earth, while Ari lands a thin white glowing arrow through the monster's forehead. The mutant never stood a chance. The girls cheer and Ari grins, but I'm not emotionally moved in the slightest. I just stare at the scene in front of me and mumble to myself. Why does this always happen to me? Why am I never satisfied? The three of them wait around the ice-covered burning corpse to wait for it to drop its loot. I let out a sigh and activate my enemy detection skill. My small use of MP shocked my system into wanting more all of a sudden. That release of power is making me shake. I clench my jaw, craving more. Eventually, the loot drops and I take a few deep breaths to curb my temptations. All five of us venture further in. We're about 7 to 10 kilometers into the dungeon now. I can expand my range pretty far, closing my eyes, and do so as we walk. I concentrate and reach out into the depths of the dungeon, locating 10 more mutants within a 10 kilometers radius. I push my skill a little further, sensing a creature at the same level as me moving at high speeds around the backside of the dungeon about 15 kilometers deeper in than us. I grin, registering that it must be Ember. At the same moment, as I continue to expand my range, I hit a very familiar wall of infinite nothingness another 5 kilometers in. I immediately shiver and deactivate my enemy detection skill. We continue the hunt. All five of us wander around the 10 to 12 kilometers range for the next 6 hours straight. We've run into 8 mutants in total. This is thanks to me leading the way. The only one that doesn't know I have some kind of advanced perception skill is Trip. It just seems like we're getting lucky to him. In reality, we're actually getting the opposite. After 8 mutants and over 20 of its underlings, the only loot we've managed to pick up is mana crystals. I can tell the team's morale has been slowly declining. Trip calls out to us after this recent kill. Hey, let's do one more then call it a day. The four of us nod in agreement. After defeating our next mutant, I decide to plant the strengthening fragment I looted from my long battle with the Titan into the mutant's corpse during one of my close-range attacks. As it dissolves, the small black crystal drops, and I hear Maria scream with excitement in her voice. Guys, look, we got one. We got one. I grin while the others flock over to her, examining the small black gem. Crossing my arms, I watch my team's spirits rise. Maria's smile brightens my mood. Abby's willingness to wholeheartedly support the cheerful blonde, as she fixates on the black gem, puts faith in our teamwork. Watching Ari smirk while gripping his bow reminds me of how he helped me in the exam and also covered me with a little white lie earlier today. I'm back to the outside world with a team I can trust. I guess this isn't too bad. The three of them pass the gem around, then I walk over to take part in the fun. Trip watches from a distance, wide-eyed and pale-faced. The drop rate is pretty low. We beat the odds of a 1% chance and got a fragment in just 10 or so kills. I would also be surprised if I were in his position, but the sheer expression of bewildered horror on his face suggests that there is more to this situation than meets the eye. I hear him mutter a few words under his breath. Impossible. They actually got a strengthening fragment out of a mutant?